Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Marine. Crazy. You call it a ninja. Chapter 81. What? Ask Lord EYM. This is not good. Boom, boom. Perhaps too shocked. As soon as these words fell, the remaining 4-5 elders stood up in unison, showing a touch of disbelief. Obviously, they did not expect that the 5 elders with the highest status would go to the flower room to ask Iraq for instructions. Mr. M. As for who is Lord IM, it is a big secret inside the world government. To put it simply, Lord IM is the leader of the celestial dragons, the master behind the world government, the master of the void throne, living among the flowers in the deepest part of the ancient city of Mariajoy, the Holy Land. 5 of them. It is directly responsible for Lord IM. The emergence of ninjas, coupled with the top-level zone devil fruit without side effects, are out of our control, and it is necessary to report to Lord. At this time, the 5 elders with the highest status in the 5 elders said with a serious expression, Luo-lei, Hoshigaki Kisame, Yui-I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, are not fuel-efficient lamps. I have a hunch that the sea will soon have a great something is going to happen. Alas, after all, Luo-lei and his subordinates are too strong. When it comes to this, the 5 elders with the highest status in the 5 elders have some helplessness. If the strength is weak, kill it and it will be over. If the strength is a little stronger, let the top combat power of CP0 be dealt with and it will be over. But, now Luo-lei, Hoshigaki Kisame, Yui-I, Sarutobi Hiruzen's strength, has been able to shake a 4 emperors pirate group, world government and naval headquarters, can't handle it. After all, in the face of absolute power, any conspiracy and tricks are useless. Silence. After listening to these words, there was some silence from the other 4-5 elders. Good. After a few seconds, the bald 5 elders in a dark green suit nodded and said, I agree, let's ask Lord IM. I agree too. The sea is about to make new waves, and only Lord IM can guide us correctly. The other 3-5 elders also nodded. Boom. And at this time, after a knock on the door of the conference room, it was suddenly opened. I saw the commander of the army, Kong, with an unbelievable expression on his face, strode in and said, Lord 5 elders, something big has happened to naval headquarters. Seeing that the person coming is Kong. The 5 elders, who were about to get angry, suddenly suppressed the anger in their hearts. What's the big deal? The 5 elders with the highest status in the 5 elders asked in a deep voice. 100 Beasts Kaido was transferred to naval headquarters by Luo-lei using ninjutsu, and now Marine San Admiral, Sengoku, Garp are suppressing him. Kong Sora took a deep breath and said in an incredible tone, now naval headquarters has been almost destroyed, but fortunately there were no casualties. It turns out that Beasts Kaido was transferred to naval headquarters by Luo-lei. The voice did not fall. The expressions of the 5-5 elders changed slightly. They were actually thinking about where Luo-lei would go when he rode the blue dragon incarnated by Kaido of the Beasts. Now I finally know. It turned out that the Beast Kaido was transferred to naval headquarters. Quote. Kong said with a heavy expression, it may take half a day for naval headquarters to suppress the Beast Kaido. Is this a master who will not suffer? Even if you can beat the Beast's pirates, naval headquarters will have to pay a certain price. The 5-5 elders looked at each other, and each could see the firmness in their eyes. No matter what, they had to ask Lord Yimu for instructions. Lord 5 elders, what should we do now? The next moment, Kong shook his head and said with some headache, although Luo-lei is the Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters, the substitute for Admiral, but it is definitely a ticking time bomb. If you are not careful, it will explode, killing the enemy and hurting yourself. Wait a minute. The 5 elders with the highest status among the 5 elders thought for a while and said, we have to think about it carefully before we can give an answer. Yes, Kong didn't suspect him and nodded. At this time, more than just 5 elders and Kong having a headache. The whole sea, utterly silent, because the newspapers headed by the News of the World conducted paid live broadcasts. After the battle was over, the news had already spread throughout the sea. When many people who didn't watch the paid live broadcast learned the news of the Beast's Pirates fiasco, almost all of them took a breath, and their cheeks were filled with extreme astonishment and disbelief. What? Why is it happening like that? The Beast's Pirates lost, and they lost miserably. Jin, one of the three plagues, was defeated by Hoshigaki Kisame, and Quinn, one of the three plagues, was defeated by Sarutobi Hiruzen, just like the dead Jack the Dro. In the end, by Beast Kaido was transferred away by Luolei's magical ninjutsu. Although I don't know where it moved to. But, who knows, by Beast Kaido has already lost, and he has lost very thoroughly. Shocking. Countless people were shocked to know. 100 Beasts Kaido is one of the four emperors, a pirate known as the strongest creature. It is also the existence that reigns on the sea, and the heaven and the earth surrender. Now it is defeated by Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters, the substitute admiral, Luolei. Does that mean that the era of the four emperors has begun to be affected? How terrifying is this? For a time, in the rough sea, there was some silence invariably. Times are changing. A day later, the news that Kaido was suppressed in Naval Headquarters finally spread to the whole sea. In an instant, originally in the turbulent sea, once again a stormy sea was set off. Countless people showed a look of sudden realization. I see. Did Luolei transfer the Beasts Kaido to Naval Headquarters Marineford? With the strength of the Naval Headquarters, although the Kaido of the Beasts could not be killed, it was more than enough to suppress a Beast Kaido. So far, Beasts Pirates is a complete defeat. Kaido, one of the four emperors, became a stepping stone for Luolei, who had just stepped into the new world. The second half of the Grand Line. The sea area where Whitebeard, one of the four emperors, is located. After watching the live broadcast and learning that 100 Beasts Kaido has been suppressed by Naval Headquarters, the entire Whitebeard pirate group was in a rare silence, and even Whitebeard, who was known as the strongest man in the world, couldn't help drinking suffocating wine. Did not expect, really did not expect, Beasts Pirates will lose so badly. Actually, when the Beasts Pirates took the initiative, the pirates of the Whitebeard Pirates watched the show happily, wanting to see Luolei, who had just arrived in New World, being taught a lesson by Kaido, the Beasts, and experiencing the beatings of society. Well now, the Beasts Pirates lost. This gave the pirates of the Whitebeard Pirates a vague feeling of sadness. Cough cough. I do not know how long it has been. Whitebeard, who was drinking heavily, coughed a few times because he drank too quickly. Dad, are you all right? Dad, you have to take care of yourself. The next moment, after hearing this coughing sound, Marco, Jose, Thatch, Beasta and the others came back to their senses and looked at Whitebeard worriedly. No way. If Dad was hit, the consequences would be very serious. Goo la la la. Facing the concern from his sons, Whitebeard laughed abruptly, and said very freely, how can something happen to Daddy? If Kaido loses, he will also lose. Daddy is the strongest man in the world. Don't worry, as long as Dad is there, no one dares to easily attack the Whitebeard Pirates. When it comes to this, Whitebeard also puffed out his chest proudly and said something confidently. Ha ha ha, Dad, we knew you were all right. Dad, we'll accompany you to drink. Dad, we won't go home if we don't get drunk today. Quote quote. Seeing Father Whitebeard's confident appearance, the captains of the divisions, such as Marco, Jose, Sachi, and Beasta, relaxed all of a sudden, and let out a series of laughter. Okay, drinking. Seeing this, Whitebeard waved his hand, took a wine jar, and drank it first. However, no one saw the flickering loneliness in Whitebeard's eyes. How old are they? The foolish sons still rely on him so much, thinking that he is omnipotent and invincible, but they don't know that even the strongest man in the world will grow old one day. The same as the second half of the Grand Line. The sea where the red-haired Shanks, one of the four emperors. Looking at the latest newspaper in my hand, the entire Red Hair Pirates was silent for a while. And the newspaper said impressively that Naval Headquarters had suppressed Kaido, one of the four emperors. Red-haired boss, New World seems to be changing. After a while, a pirate from the Red Hair Pirates looked a little horrified and said worriedly, Luolei of the New World G1 branch, isn't he a good person? If you can defeat the Beasts Pirates today, you will dare to attack other four Emperors Pirates tomorrow. Yeah. Upon hearing this, another Red Hair Pirates pirate responded, Red Hair boss, the New World has shaken violently, what should we Red Hair Pirates do? This Luolei has shown such a terrifying comprehensive strength that it makes the scalp tingle. Usopp clenched his sniper rifle tightly, and said solemnly, whether it's Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yaoi, they all seem to have combat power comparable to that of the four emperors. Alas! As for the deputy captain, Ben Beckman, he sighed, picked up the cigar and smoked it, obviously not wanting to say more. I don't know what to do. Red Hair Shanks took a sip of wine slowly, shrugged helplessly, and said softly, the soldiers will block the water and cover, and we red hair pirates can only take one step at a time. Quote. To be honest, in fact, the redhead did not expect that the beast's pirates would lose so badly. It can only be said that Luolei is too deep to hide. If it does not burst out, it will shock the whole sea. Now, red hair pirates can only choose to stay the same. New World. In the royal palace in the central area of Dressrosa. Doflamingo, who had just returned to the palace, was sitting on the throne, looking at a newspaper in his hand. His expression changed. Beast's pirates lost. Even Kaido, one of the four emperors, was suppressed by the naval headquarters. Luolei, Hoshigaki Kisame, Yaoi, Sarutobi Hiruzen showed the power to make the whole sea tremble. As too strong, too pervert. I do not know how long it has been. Doflamingo gradually regained his senses, and there was a deep fear in his eyes. He used to be. Facing the beast Kaido, one of the four emperors, he stood like an ant, not even daring to breathe. Now, the undead Kaido that made him terrified was defeated by Luolei and others with a destructive force. Thinking about it, Doflamingo is secretly grateful. Fortunately, after he was defeated by Yaoi's men, Luolei did not suffer. Down killer. Otherwise, he would not be able to see the sea that was about to change suddenly. Dover, things are ready. At this time, Toripal, who had been silent for a while, wiped the snot from the corner of his mouth, and said with lingering fear, even the beast's pirates have been defeated, which is simply shocking. Okay, fur. Hearing this sentence, Doflamingo seemed to have thought of something, let out an evil laugh, and a demonic smile appeared on his face. Come with me and give things to Luolei. I believe that he will be very satisfied, is it? At the same time, Charlotte Linlin, one of the four emperors, Boa Hancock, Hawkeye Mahawk, etc. big pirates, as well as some big families on the sea, giants of the underground dark world. After the initial silence and disbelief, they also reacted and began to think about how to deal with Luolei's strong rise. No way. Defeated at the beast's pirates. After Kaido, one of the four emperors, was suppressed. All fools know that Luolei of the G1 branch is already unstoppable, and maybe even naval headquarters can't hold him back. The sea is turbulent. All forces are holding emergency meetings. But as the source of all the shocks, Luolei, Hoshigaki Kisame, Yaoi, and Sarutobi Hiruzen were all light. At this time, in New World, on a desert island not far from Field Island, Luolei, Hoshigaki Kisame, Yaoi, Sarutobi Hiruzen are here for post-war rest. As for Zephyr, he had already taken the captured Flame Cinder and Plague Quinn, and returned to naval headquarters to get a reward and stroke the wool for Luolei. Ha ha ha. Hoshigaki Kisame threw away the newspaper in his hand and laughed loudly. People are sitting at home and the pot is coming from the sky, so Marine's executives are afraid that they will scold her mother. It's not just Marine, the whole sea is shaking. Beside, Sarutobi Hiruzen stretched his waist and chuckled. This time we have a lot of Kamui, the big pirates of New World may tremble. That's what I want. Yaoi smiled confidently and said in a meaningful way, the four emperors have been reigning in the New World for too long, which just made them nervous, and the sea was silent for too long, which just happened to give the Lord a violent turmoil. Quote, faced with the current situation, maybe the world government is having a meeting. Hoshigaki Kisame grinned, showing sharp fangs, and said with a little anticipation, I really want to see the look of the five elders in a dilemma. But then again, it was really cool to have a fight with Kaido of the beasts. At this time, Yaoi seemed to think of something, stretched her waist, turned her head to look at Luolei, and said excitedly, Boss Luolei, when are we going to do something to the rest of the Sea Emperors? Slow down a little. Hearing this sentence, Luolei, who was reading the newspaper, couldn't help but rolled his eyes and said meaningfully, I just played Beast's Pirates, let's take a break and count the harvest. Okay, Boss Luolei, then I'll go to practice first. After this sentence, maybe it's because I feel like I'm resting. Yaoi Aishin smiled slyly, and with a flash of her body, she flew to the center of the deserted island. After a few seconds, accompanied by a majestic fluctuating breath, Yaoi in the central area of the deserted island entered the armed color lightning style chakra mode, and immediately began to try to control Conqueror's haki. Obviously, after the battle with Kaido of the Beasts, Yaoi has a new CCFF harvest and a new training direction. Forget it, I'm going to practice as well. I've already developed the armament and ninjutsu, and Conqueror's ninjutsu has yet to be developed. Seeing Yaoi's efforts, Sarutobi Hiruzen was smoking a pipe. A smile flashed in his deep eyes, and he slowly exhaled a puff of white smoke. Boss Luo, then I'm going to practice too. After leaving a word not to be outdone, Hoshigaki Kisame also walked to the beach with great interest, and began to practice the armed color water style. You've all gone to practice, then I'll count the gains. After Sarutobi Hiruzen and others all left, Luo put down the newspaper in his hand, and a look of anticipation appeared on the corner of his mouth. This time to New World, the basic purpose has been achieved. Now look at World Government and Naval Headquarters. How will you reward him? System, I want to take a look at my latest attribute panel. After a few seconds, Luo took a deep breath, calmed down, and asked a question subconsciously. Ding. Host's latest property panel is being generated. Ding. The latest attribute panel is generated. Host. Luo. Age. 16 years old. Abilities: Shave, Advanced Iron Body, Advanced Paper Arts, Advanced Moonwalk, Advanced Tempest Kick, Advanced Finger Pistol, Advanced Observation Haki, Advanced Armament Haki, Advanced Conqueror's Haki Intermediate, Second Hokage, Template by Senju Tobarama 100%, Flying Thunder God Technique by Namikaze Minato, Gentle Fist. Grandmaster White Eyes, Sage Body of Senju Hashirama. Character Summons: Hoshigaki Kisame, Night Moon Eye, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Random draw. 0 times. Draw points. 0. But, just when Luo was about to take a closer look. Ding. Congratulations, host, for completing the hidden task of the God-level lottery system, defeating the Beast's pirates, thus becoming famous in the sea, and rewarding 3 free lottery chances. With the sound of the system sounding again, Luo's expression was stunned at first, and then he couldn't help showing a confused look. That's 3 free raffles. Good luck too. Originally, he also planned to exchange the treasures copied from the King of Loan Sharks, Lufeld, into lottery points, and have a good lottery draw. Now it seems that it is no longer necessary. 3 free lottery chances presented by the system. That, system, give me a random lottery first. The next moment, Luo didn't hesitate and gave a neat order. Ding. The voice did not fall. On the large roulette wheel that Luo could only see, the pointer began to spin rapidly. Ding. Congratulations to host. Congratulations to host. I have drawn a rare item White Eye Evolution card. Listening to the system prompts, Luo looked startled, waved his fists, and couldn't help but let out an exclamation. No way. Luck is really good. Originally, Luo had been thinking about how to evolve his White Eyes to Tenseigen to maximize his strength. And in the Hokage world, in general, there are 2 situations in which Tenseigen can be obtained. In the first case, it is necessary to combine the blood of the Otsutsuki family with the White Eyes of the Hyuga family to open. The second situation is formed by the fusion of a large number of White Eyes. According to Luo's thoughts, he has already drawn his eyes, only one bloodline of the Otsutsuki clan. It's good now. In one step, I drew the White Eye Evolution card. There is no need to fuse the blood of the Otsutsuki clan to evolve Baian and obtain Tenseigen. It's like stepping through the iron shoes and finding nowhere, and it takes no effort to get it. System gave me the remaining 2 random lottery draws. With the encouragement of the first free raffle, Luo took a deep breath, suppressed the joy in his heart, and gave the order again. Ding. Ding. The second random lottery draw. Nothing was drawn. I hope the host will make persistent efforts. Ding. Ding. The third random draw. Nothing was drawn. I hope host will make persistent efforts. After a few seconds, with the pointer docked on the blank cell, the mechanical sounds of the 2 systems also sounded in Luo's mind. For a moment, Luo was a little dumbfounded. What the heck, this system really can't stand praise. The first time I drew a good thing, I thought that the second and third time would make persistent efforts, but it came directly and didn't draw anything, which was a bit irritating. Ding. Host, are you using the rare item White Eye Evolution card? Okay, let me use it. Without thinking, Luo Lei nodded neatly. Anyway, he is not at a loss if he has drawn the rare item White Eye's Evolution card. Just use it now. After this sentence, before Luo Lei could react, a strange energy poured into his pair of white eyes. In an instant, there are almost no signs. Luo Lei felt that his pair of white eyes seemed to be stimulated by something, and he began to suffer severe pain, and his pupils continued to shrink, which looked very strange. Have you begun to transform? Feeling the pain from the white eyes, Luo Lei, however, focused on the specific changes in Bian. To put it in a bad way, this pain is just trivial for him. Previously, when he was practicing Marine 6 styles, the pain was several times higher, and he endured it. And the fact is, this time, if someone is next to Luo Lei, you will find that the chakra that accidentally spilled out of Luo Lei has gradually turned blue. If you look more closely, you will find that Luo Lei's white eyes, which were originally almost pure white, are gradually turning into a kind of blue eyes. Perhaps it was because he sensed the fluctuations in the aura from boss Luo Lei's body. Yui I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Hoshigaki Kisame who were cultivating couldn't help but stop, with a look of surprise on their cheeks. How is this possible? They actually sense the aura of menace in boss Luo Lei. Is this totally impossible? You know, after eating the top zone devil fruit and learning Conqueror's Haki and Marine 6 styles, their strength and ability have long been different. The only explanation is that boss Luo Lei also seems to be getting stronger. 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, time passed by minute. Call, until 2 hours later, when Luo Lei felt that the pain in his eyes was gradually disappearing, he could not help but let out a sigh of relief. Ding! Congratulations to host, you successfully used the rare item White Eye Evolution card to evolve White Eye to Tenseigen. Did you make it? Luo Lei subconsciously blinked his eyes. There was no change on the surface, but deep down inside, there was a stormy sea. In the world of Hokage, Tenseigen has the power to destroy and create. It is the ultimate manifestation of Yin, escape, and its status is the same as that of Rinnegan of Sage of Six Paths. It is very scary. In Hokage Ninja the movie, the last, Otsutsuki Shirin uses a huge chakra lightsaber in Tenseigen chakra mode, which is so powerful that it can even split the moon with one blow. Tenseigen chakra mode. The next moment, as if thinking of something, when Luo Lei's mind moved, he motivated Tenseigen. With a terrifying chakra wave, a strand of blue chakra enveloped Luo Lei's body. So powerful. Perceiving the terrifying chakra energy fluctuations on his body, Luo Lei couldn't help but sighed. Before, he felt that he was strong enough. But, after entering Tenseigen chakra mode, I realized I was wrong. Say something bad. Now in this state, the power of Senju Tobarama's sea escape can be increased by at least several times. If it cooperates with the truth-seeking ball produced in this mode, I am afraid that even admiral-level combat power can be ignored. The only thing that is not clear is whether it can break the Logia demon fruit without blessing armament Haki. Elementalization of power. Boss Luo Lei's eyes seem to have changed. What kind of eyes are these? The blue eyes feel so scary. Could it be that the white eyes can still evolve? How come no one in the Hyuga family has successfully evolved? I don't know when. Looking at Lord Luo Lei entering Tenseigen chakra mode, Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yui had gathered not far away. Their expressions were horrified for a while, and their eyes were filled with wisps of disbelief. No way. It really is the state that Lord Luo Lei is in now. It's too scary. It seems that the power of destroying the world can erupt at any time. What's more, when they were in the world of Hokage, they had seen it with white eyes, as if they had never seen such blue eyes. This is Tenseigen. At this time, the corners of Luo Lei's mouth twitched slightly, as if he could see the doubts of Sarutobi Hiruzen and others, and explained in a low voice, Tenseigen is the end point of the evolution of the White Eye to the ultimate, just like the Rinnegan is the end point of the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan's evolution to the ultimate, generally. After hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yui, Hoshigaki Kisame all gasped in surprise. They understood. It turns out that Lord Luo Lei's Tenseigen is comparable to the eyes of the legendary Sage of Six Paths, Rinnegan. That's kind of scary. Don't watch it, it's really shocking. I should continue to practice. Soon after the initial shock, Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head with a contemplative look on his face. Then he took a pipe, snorted white smoke, and went to practice Conqueror's ninjutsu again. People are more popular than dead people. I thought they were strong enough. The results of it. The boss Luolei came directly to a corner to overtake. Now that you have Tenseigen, once you cast it, it will definitely shake the whole sea again. Boss Luolei may have been infinitely close to the Six Paths level. Yaoi took a deep breath and said in a tone full of envy, once you reach the Six Paths level, the Four Emperors and the Marine Three Admiral are definitely not the same. The opponent of Lord Luolei. Why not? 043. Hoshigaki Kisame sighed. Tenseigen, like Rinnegan, has the power to destroy and create the world, and the sea may be overturned. In this case, we must practice harder to catch up with Lord Luolei's pace. Hearing this sentence, Yaoi's eyes flashed a ray of light, and he said with all due respect, I will be able to combine Conqueror's Haki with Armor Color Katakana Middle Dot Lightning Style Chakra Mode, and my strength will become stronger again. There is a metamorphosis. I've practiced Armament Haki to the top level of internal destruction. Hoshigaki Kisame narrowed his eyes slightly, and responded, it seems that it is not enough now, I also have to cultivate to the top of Conqueror's Haki. Go, practice hard. The next moment, Hoshigaki Kisame and Yaoi went to practice with high fighting spirit as if they were fighting chicken blood. Obviously, for them, the stronger Luolei's boss has put them under more pressure. Only with pressure can they be motivated. They will redouble their efforts to cultivate and catch up with Luolei as soon as possible. Even though I can make a truth-seeking ball with Tenseigen, but it seems to be a little short of the Six Paths level. After Sarutobi Hiruzen et al. Left again, Luolei sensed the state of his body, and when his mind moved, he withdrew from the Tenseigen chakra mode, showing a regretful expression. As expected, Tenseigen transformed his strength once again, but, even with the blessing of Senju Hashirama's sage body, he still did not reach the Six Paths level. Don't worry, take your time. After a few seconds, Luolei didn't want to think about it anymore, his body flashed, and he appeared not far away, where there were more than 130 boxes and 5 devil fruits. That's right, these boxes and devil fruit are treasures copied from the King of Loan Sharks, Lu Field. Now it's time to exchange them for lottery points, and then have a good lottery draw. System, exchange these 5 devil fruits and more than 130 boxes of treasures for lottery points. After a while, Luolei gave a clear-eyed command. Ding! The 5 devil fruits and more than 130 boxes of treasures were successfully exchanged, and the host gained 3.9 million lottery points, with a total of 3.9 million lottery points. Have you exchanged a total of 3.9 million lottery points? Listening to the cold sound of the system's machinery, Luolei nodded with satisfaction, and then ordered with a little expectation, System, exchange me for a high-level random lottery. Ding! Consume 1 million lottery points. There are 2.9 million lottery points left. A high-level random lottery exchange is successful. Host, whether to use. Use it for me. The voice did not fall. Luolei turned his gaze to the translucent turntable that only he could see. Ding! Congrats host. Congratulations host. I have drawn 5th Mizukage Terumime from the character summoning card, Hokage Ninja, peak period. Laugh. As the hands stopped turning, the crisp mechanical sound of the system rang out. Fortunately I had expected. The corners of Luolei's mouth twitched slightly, but his expression didn't change. In terms of the system's urination, the first time the character summoning card was drawn, the second time must be the devil fruit that has no side effects. As for Terumime, it is the 5th Mizukage of Kurigakure, the Land of Water, which ended the horror period of Mist Shinobi's Village of Blood Mist, since the 4th Mizukage came to power, and implemented a policy of peace and openness, thus reviving Kurigakure. She is good at using water-style ninjutsu, and has 2 blood limits of lava-style and boil-style, and her water-style water array is enough to suppress Uchiha Madara's fire-style fire extinguishing. The ability and strength are very strong. More importantly, Terumime is a female ninja, she can finally be seductive. After all, looking at rough people like Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yazuki I, and Hoshigaki Kisame all the time, my eyes will get fatigued and rusted. System, exchange me for another advanced random lottery. Not long after, Luo Lei ordered again indifferently. Ding, consumes 1 million lottery points. There are 1.9 million lottery points left. A high-level random lottery is successfully redeemed. Host, whether to use. Use. Ding. Congratulations to the host. The second random lottery draws the bird fruit, the phantom beast, and the Suzaku form. The system is produced. It must be a high-quality product. There is absolutely no side effects. You can use it with confidence. Ha ha. Luo Lei shook his head, showing a calm look. What else can I say? He was clearly arranged by the system. From Hoshigaki Kisame, Yaoi, to Sarutobi Hiruzen is a top-quality zone devil fruit with no side effects. Now, Terumi Mei is equipped with a bird fruit, a phantom beast, and a Suzaku form. You can tell from the name that this devil fruit is definitely not inferior to the devil fruit eaten by Sarutobi Hiruzen and others. Once you eat this devil fruit, Terumi Mei's strength and physical fitness can achieve a transformation in an instant. One more shot. Not long after, Luo Lei's eyes moved. He took a deep breath, and ordered, System, exchange me for another advanced random lottery. Ding, consumes 1 million lottery points. There are 900,000 lottery points left. A high-level random lottery is successfully redeemed. Host, whether to use. Use. Ding. Congratulations to the host. The third advanced random draw has won the wood style of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Quote. Listening to the beep sounded by the system, Luo Lei looked overjoyed and couldn't help but exclaimed. It is indeed a high-level random lottery, but it is easy to use, and I actually won the wood style of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. As for Senju Hashirama's wood style, the ninjas were out of breath. Even if they were as strong as Uchiha Madara, they fell behind. Now he has drawn Senju Hashirama's wood style, plus already learned Senju Tobarama's sea escape. It's terrifying to think about. Ding. Host, whether to extract wood style that fuses first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Quote. The voice did not fall. An unfamiliar spiritual force poured into Luo Lei's mind. Immediately after, in Luo Lei's spiritual world, a young man appeared in a black tight-fitting combat uniform with a red layered armor on the outside, and the layered armor on the left shoulder had the symbol of the Senju clan tattooed. Mystery Tree World Birth. Next moment, without any sign, a number of towering trees grew rapidly from the ground. These towering trees are like uprooted, creating a forest in an instant. And this seems to be just the beginning. After the wood-style secret technique, the birth of the tree world, the young man slapped his hands a few times and performed several wood-style ninjutsu. Wood-style flower tree world is coming. Wood-style wood dragon technique. Wood-style wooden golem jutsu. Wood-style wood expulsion jutsu. With the use of wood-style ninjutsu one by one, the entire spiritual world has undergone earth-shaking changes. For a time, Luo Lei was dazzled and shocked. Of course, more importantly, with Senju Hashirama performing wood style, he is also continuously receiving and integrating Senju Hashirama's wood style experience. 1 minute. 10 minutes, half an hour. Finally, after an hour, Luo Lei finished extracting and integrating Senju Hashirama's wood style. With a single slap of both hands, it seems that you can use wood style. After a few minutes of perception, Luo Lei muttered to himself in disbelief. Doesn't that mean that I can be like first Hokage Senju Hashirama, clapping both hands and shouting? Unexpected joy. Absolutely a surprise. Actually, Luo Lei has never been very fond of knot seals. Now, after integrating Senju Hashirama's wood style, you can basically slap your hands and shout whatever you want. After all, besides Hoshigaki Kisame, who is a serious ninja? In the future, I will use wood style in my left hand and Sidun in my right hand, and I will feel a little refreshed when I think about it. After a while, Luo Lei took a deep breath, suppressed his inner excitement, and calmly ordered, System, call me 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei. Ding. Host, calling. Laugh. After a few seconds, with a burst of space fluctuations, I saw a mature woman in a blue tube top dress with a white belt around her waist and dark blue nail polish on her nails appearing right in front of Luo Lei. This is Terumi Mei at its peak. Glancing at Terumi Mei with reddish-brown long curly hair, Luo Lei's mouth curled slightly and nodded with satisfaction. What else can I say? As expected of Terumi Mei. The first time he saw it, he felt a little bit. And Terumi Mei, who just appeared, squinted her eyes to look at Luo Lei after getting used to the environment, with a look of surprise on her face. Boss Luo Lei, you are quite handsome. Yes, Luo Lei raised his brows and chuckled, I'll introduce you to the basics of this world later. Okay. Terumi Mei nodded, her face unchanged, her green eyes turned, and she looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yayoi Ai, and Hoshigaki Kisame, who were cultivating. At the beginning, there was nothing, she just felt familiar chakra breath, want to see if it's an old friend. Result: the more I look at it, the more terrified I become. Fourth Raikage Yayoi somehow entered the lightning-style chakra mode, and terrifying energy fluctuations erupted from his body, while the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to be controlling a momentum. His hands were constantly knotted, it seemed to be I want to incorporate momentum into ninjutsu. As for Hoshigaki Kisame, who was once one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, but standing on a sandy beach by the sea, he is actually displaying water style in a prudent manner. No, it was controlling wisps of jet black energy that shimmered with metallic luster that she had never seen before, and she cooperated with chakra to cast water style, bursting out with extremely powerful power. What a terrible breath! Terumi Mei was shocked, took a deep breath, and said incredulously, Lord Luo Lei, why do I feel that whether it is Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yayoi Ai, they can kill me instantly. After hearing this, Luo Lei didn't say much, threw out a devil fruit and said, take it and eat it. Eat this thing. Terumi Mei licked her lips, a suspicious look flashed across her beautiful eyes. This is the secret treasure of the sea, devil fruit. Luo Lei explained slowly, simply put, this is a devil fruit in the form of a bird fruit, a phantom beast, and a vermilion bird without any side effects. After eating it, you will thank me. Good. Upon hearing this, Terumi Mei took a bite without thinking. Cough cough. In the moment of biting down, maybe devil fruit was too unpalatable, Terumi Mei couldn't help but coughed, but when Terumi Mei wanted to vomit, she found that what she had eaten had turned into a strange energy and poured into her body. In an instant, a terrifying wave of power swept out from Terumi Mei's body. Immediately afterwards, a giant bird wrapped in flames appeared on the island. After the appearance of Suzaku in the incarnation of Terumi Mei, a monstrous heat shot straight into the sky, and the temperature of this sea area rose a few degrees. Boss Luo Lei, I feel like I'm getting stronger. Laugh. With a surprised voice, Suzaku, who was incarnated by Terumi Mei, shook his wings excitedly. Shock. It's really shocking. Terumi Mei never dreamed. I just ate a sea treasure with no side effects given by the boss of Luo Lei, and he was able to achieve a complete transformation. To put it bluntly, in the state of Suzaku, she can use lava style and boil style, which can definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort, and the power will be multiplied and multiplied. More importantly, she felt that her physical fitness had also undergone a qualitative change, and there was no problem in fighting for 3 days and 3 nights. I didn't expect that even 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei was summoned by boss Luo Lei. Ha ha ha, Terumi Mei became stronger after eating devil fruit. After learning Conqueror's Haki and Marine 6 styles, Terumi Mei's lava style and boil style will be more pervert. Looking at Terumi Mei, who was transformed into Suzaku in midair, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yayoi Ai, and Hoshigaki Kisame, who were cultivating involuntarily, stopped and made a sound of feeling. As a ninja, now they have learned Conqueror's Haki and Marine 6 styles. It can be said to be like a fish in water. Ability and strength have been improved to varying degrees. Terumi Mei, please get used to it first. At this time, looking at Terumi Mei, who was excited in midair, Luo Lei shook his head and said something with a light smile. Okay. Swish. Accompanied by a cracking sound. Suzaku, who was Terumi Mei's incarnation, shook his wings wrapped in flames, and disappeared in midair with a flash of his body. System, I want to take a look at my latest attribute panel. After Terumi Mei left, Luo Lei thought for a while, and asked a little curiously. Ding. Host's latest property panel is being generated. Ding. The latest attribute panel is generated. Host. Luo Lei. Age. 16 years old. Abilities. Shave, Advanced Iron Body, Advanced Paper Arts, Advanced Moonwalk, Advanced Tempest Kick, Advanced Finger Pistol, Advanced Observation Hockey, Advanced Armament Hockey, Advanced Conquerors Hockey, Top, Second Hokage, Senju Tobarama's Template 100%, Namikaze Minato's Flying Thunder God Technique, Gentle Fist, Grandmaster Tenseigan, Senju Hashirama's Sage Body. Character Summons: Hoshigaki Kisame, Night Moon Eye, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Terumi Mei. Random draw. 0 times. Draw points: 900,000 draw points. As expected, Marine 6 styles has reached the top level, Armament Hockey, Conqueror's Hockey have all reached the top level. A quick glance around, Luo showed a thoughtful expression. As Bayan evolves into Tenseigan, many of his abilities have been improved in quality. For example, Conqueror's Hockey, which was just intermediate, has now been directly promoted to the top level. If the top Armament Hockey can be destroyed internally, then the top Conqueror's Hockey can also be wound, and its strength is far greater than that of Armament Hockey. There are only a few, only the top strong can do it. Not to mention the advanced Marine 6 styles. That means he can use an extension of Marine 6 styles. It feels okay. After a few seconds, Luo put away the property panel. Now, after evolving White Eyes to Tenseigan, his abilities and strengths have undergone a qualitative change, and he is waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yaoi Eye, Hoshigaki Kisame, and Terumi Mei to train well. All is ready except for the opportunity. At the same time, Holy Land, Mariajoy, among the flowers in the deepest part of the ancient city of Pan. I saw the five elders kneeling on the ground very respectfully. Directly ahead, above the void throne, a shadow-covered person is sitting there. That's right. This is impressively the leader of Celestial Dragons, the master behind world government. I am. I really didn't expect that after so many years, such a tyrannical ninja could still appear in the sea, and he even ate the devil fruit with no side effects. I do not know how long it has been. An indifferent voice sounded. I am Sama. After hearing this, the 5 elders with the highest status among the 5 elders said cautiously, "What should we do now?" After defeating the beast's pirates, Luo's momentum has risen. Quote. Yes, another 5 elders said with a trembling voice, "We don't know that Luo is hiding so deeply." Alas, an icy sigh sounded, and Im's eyes that seemed to be able to see the future flashed a ray of doubt, and said indifferently, "Since it can't be suppressed, just wait and see what happens." What? The 5 elders were a little confused, apparently not knowing what Mr. Yim wanted to express. I have lived for more than 800 years, and I can't see Luo at all. I don't know where he came from, and I don't know what he wants to do, so wait a minute. I seemed to be muttering to himself, and seemed to have thought of something, and said calmly, "The variables of the sea have appeared, whether it's the face, is it good to the D family, or the sudden appearance of ninjas, we all beg for change with the same thing." But, enough. The next moment, just when one of the 5 elders was about to say something, he was interrupted by Yimu neatly. "Let the bullets fly a little longer. Whether it's the world government or marine, don't mess with Luo for the time being. Isn't he the vice admiral and the substitute admiral of naval headquarters? Since the beast's pirates have been defeated, then promote him to marine's 4th admiral." What? Promote Luo as marine's 4th admiral? After hearing this, there is a dead silence among the flowers. In an instant, the bodies of the 5 elders were all frozen there, and there was only one sound of gasping for air. No way. They never thought Lord I will say something like this. To actually promote Luo from Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, to Substitute Admiral, to be directly promoted to the 4th Admiral of Naval Headquarters. It's pretty incredible to know. There have always been only 3 Admiral at Naval Headquarters. Now to break the routine, there is no doubt that there are some inappropriate. As for the reason, on the one hand, the world government is worried that there are too many Marine Admiral and it is difficult to control. On the other hand, it is worried that Marine is too strong and CP cannot effectively contain Marine. You just need to execute the order. At this time, didn't care so much, and said indifferently, "I'm tired, let's rest for a while." Okay. The 5 elders opened their mouths and wanted to say something, but in the end they could only bow their heads respectfully and exit the flower room without even breathing. There is nothing to say. As the top leaders of the world government and the pillars of the world government, they do not have the courage to refute and question the Lord Yimu, and all they can do is to carry out the orders of the Lord Yimu. Even ninjas were born, and the sea is really getting more and more interesting. After the 5 elders left, I.M. stuck his saber on Luo Lei's photo and muttered to himself, the people from the D family didn't appear, but the ninja appeared first. Could it be that the prediction was wrong? And the top zone devil fruit with no side effects, how did it come about? For a time, I am on the void throne, his expression is changing. Forget it, let the bullet fly for a while, don't you explode. Then promote you as Marine Admiral, I'll see what you want to do. Finally, I am closed his eyes. The dead silence of the past is restored between the flowers. At the same time, Naval Headquarters Marineford. After the suppression of Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, the entire naval headquarters began to be rebuilt. On the top floor of the headquarters fortress, in a conference room, Marshal Sengoku, Marine 3 Admiral Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu, as well as the hero Garp, the Crane staff, and Zephyr all gathered here. At this time, in addition to Zephyr, Marshal Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru and others didn't look very good looking. After all, this time naval headquarters suffered a bad loss. I thought it would be a good show, but Luo Lei played a lot. And when Zephyr described what happened in New World in detail, even though he watched the live broadcast, it still caused Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Sengoku, and the Crane staff to be shocked. Even Garp was a little surprised a moment. This time, Luo Lei also asked me to bring back Jin and Quinn, one of the 3 plagues, saying that they wanted to get a bounty from naval headquarters. Perhaps it was almost the same. Zephyr took a deep breath and meant something. Said, Luo Lei also wants the bounty of Kaido of the Beasts, one of the 4 emperors. What? Boom. With the sound of a knock on the table. Sengoku's expression changed slightly, he couldn't help but patted the table and scolded, Zephyr, did you make a mistake? Naval headquarters is being rebuilt now, we didn't have trouble with Luo Lei, he still had the nerve to offer a reward to naval headquarters. Quote. Besides, when Kaido is not dead, Jin and Quinn, one of the 3 plagues, are hot potatoes, even if they are caught, they must be released. Well, so scary. Kizaru's wretched cheeks twitched slightly. This Luo Lei, I'm convinced. Aokiji shook his head helplessly, and chuckled, if you get it cheap, you can still sell it, transfer the beast Kaido to naval headquarters, let us take over the order, and now I still want the beast Kaido offers a bounty. Can't give, absolutely can't give. Akainu clenched his fists tightly, and said coldly with a gloomy expression, if you have the ability, you can kill Kaido, the beast, and we will give as much bounty as he wants. After saying this, Akainu also clenched his fists in embarrassment. This time, Luo Lei moved the beast Kaido to naval headquarters and caught them by surprise. What makes them even more embarrassed is that, after suppressing the beast's Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, they could only watch the beasts and Kaido leave. As for the impel down, don't joke, facing the beasts, Kaido can't be killed. The monster, locked into impel down, Marine can only take his own CCFF humiliation. Luo Lei said he only needs 7 billion Baileys. Hearing these words, Zephyr seemed to have expected it long ago, and said unhurriedly, if you don't give it, he will often throw Kaido the beast to naval headquarters when he is bored. What, only 7 billion Baileys, and often tossing Kaido, the beast, to naval headquarters? Is there a mistake? He is also naval headquarters vice admiral, substitute admiral, how could he do such a thing? Bang, 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 the next moment, with the sound of standing up from the chair one after another. Sengoku, Aokiji, Akainu, Kizaru, couldn't help but stand up, their expressions were a bit of surprise. Threaten. This is a blatant threat. When I thought of the scene where Kaido was thrown into naval headquarters every now and then. Even Garp, who was eating snacks, and Staff Officer Crane, who was drinking hot tea, all showed a headache. When they met such a Marine Vice Admiral who didn't dare to play cards with common sense, Marine really lost 8 lives. What's even more bloody, naval headquarters doesn't seem to have retorted yet. Luo Lei transferred the beasts Kaido to naval headquarters, they couldn't kill them by themselves, they let them go when they suppressed them. Also, Jin and Quinn, one of the 3 plagues, were indeed escorted to naval headquarters. It was naval headquarters who was concerned about the beasts, Kaido, and let them go. Boo, boo, but, just at this time, The phone bug on the table suddenly rang. Sengoku took a deep breath and picked up the phone bug. Hey, this is Naval Headquarters, I'm Marshal Sengoku. Sengoku, I'm Kong. The phone bug. Kong Sora's very serious voice came out. Commander Air, Sengoku asked in a deep voice, is something wrong? The latest instructions from the Five Elders to promote Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, to replace Admiral Luo Lei, as Marine's 4th Admiral, codename, Ninjin. The phone bug. Kong Sora's tone also seemed a little unbelievable. What? The voice did not fall. Even Sengoku couldn't help exclaiming. What? Did you hear it right? Marine about to appear in the 4th Admiral. World government's 5 elders is not taking the wrong medicine, is it? Once upon a time, in order to deal with the increasingly powerful pirates, Sengoku has asked the world government countless times, and wants to recruit the world and expand the number of marine admirals. But it was rejected again and again by the world government. For a long time, Sengoku himself had given up. Now the 5 elders of the world government actually took the initiative to promote Luo Lei as Marine's 4th Admiral. What a terrific sun coming out from the west. Commander Kong, are the 5 elders really going to promote Luo Lei as Marine's 4th Admiral? After pondering for a while, Sengoku still said something unbelievable. I have already reported all the information about Luo Lei to the world government. He doesn't have any awe of the world government and celestial dragons, and he does things too unbridled. Once you've been promoted to Marine's 4th Admiral, there's a high chance of things going wrong. When it comes to this, Sengoku showed a wry smile. If it was another monster-level combat power, he would be promoted to Marine's 4th Admiral, he would welcome it with all his hands, but, to promote Luo Lei as Marine's 4th Admiral, he was not happy in his heart. Alas, the phone bug. Kong couldn't help sighing and said, I know what you want to say, and I understand what you are worried about, but, this is the order of the 5 elders of the world government, and no one can go against it, except to execute it. Had no choice. Find a time and tell the whole sea. Boo. After this sentence, without waiting for Sengoku to say anything, on the other end of the phone bug came the voice of Kong hanging up the phone bug. Quiet. The entire conference room was dead silent. Originally everyone was still debating whether to give Luo Lei a huge bounty of 7 billion. Well now, there is no need to argue. The 5 elders of the world government have issued an order to promote Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, to replace Admiral Luo Lei as Marine's 4th Admiral. This is completely breaking the rules and precedents, opening a first for Marine. Because, all along, there are only 3 Admiral in Naval Headquarters. Well now, a Luo Lei, directly breaking the convention. How could this be? A few seconds later, Akainu's expression was extremely ugly, and he yelled, promoting the arrogant Luo Lei to Marine's 4th Admiral, and also codenamed Ninja God, this is because he is trying to get along with us Marine. Sengoku stood there with a gloomy face, patted the table again, and said, is there something wrong with the 5 elders' brains? They gave such a stupid order. Don't they know that once Luo Lei is promoted to Marine Admiral, will it be more unscrupulous? Obviously Sengoku was completely shocked, and even in front of Marine executives, he directly scolded 5 elders. At first, Luo Lei offended celestial dragons. However, he personally ordered Luo Lei to be transferred to the West Blue T3 branch, leaving Luo Lei to fend for himself. Well now, this Luo Lei, after 3 years, suddenly rose up and started to slap him in the face step by step, and now became Marine's 4th Admiral and slapped his face even more. What is the use of him being the marshal? He has become a tool of the world government. Hearing Sengoku scold the 5 elders, Aokiji, Kizaru and the others froze for a moment, then pretended not to hear anything. Only Zephyr couldn't help laughing after the initial shock, poured a cup of hot tea on his own, and drank it happily. Although I don't understand why 5 elders suddenly changed. But, promoting Luo Lei as Marine's 4th Admiral is obviously beneficial to Luo Lei. At least it can raise Luo Lei's prestige, and it will shake the sea. It's scary. Soon, after the initial shock, Kizaru shook his head very slyly and sighed. This time, it will be a big trouble. Marine's 4th Admiral, codenamed Ninja God. Aokiji murmured a few words, his expression fluctuating. He didn't know what he was thinking. Do you really want to do this? Akainu turned his gaze to Sengoku in vain. Water dripped from his dark face, and a terrifying heat wave rose from his body at an unknown time. Single quote. Sengoku took a deep breath and nodded helplessly. This is the order of the five elders, and naval headquarters has no right or reason to disobey. After a sigh, a flash of determination flashed in Sengoku's eyes, and he said solemnly, Counselor Crane, tell the sea. Okay. Staff officer. He nodded with deep eyes, and a hint of doubt flashed in his deep eyes. In fact, she still has some doubts about why the five elders suddenly promoted Luolei as the 4th Admiral of Marine. It is incomprehensible, not to mention that the former Luolei was hidden because he offended the celestial dragons. The next moment, Sengoku seemed to think of something, frowned, and said, as for the bounty, give it to him at half. There is nothing to say, there are many things, if you can't figure out why, then you can't do it without thinking. Anyway, no matter what happens, it will be the fault of the world government and the five elders. Understood. After saying this, Staff Officer Crane got up and left the conference room. Zephyr, what do you think? After Staff Crane left, Sengoku turned his eyes and looked at Zephyr, who had not spoken. I don't know, this move by the world government is too surprising. Garp took a bite of the senbei, and then said somewhat incredulously, the world government seems to be deliberately killing Luolei, but with the strength of Luolei and his subordinates, can they really kill Luolei? Killing. Hearing these words, Akainu smiled disdainfully, got up and said, a ninja who is so arrogant that he was promoted to the 4th Admiral in Marine, the world government is afraid that it's not trying to steal chickens without losing money. The sea is shaking again. Kizaru shrugged, shook his head sighingly, and walked out of the conference room with a condescending pace. It's off-duty time now, and he doesn't want to work overtime. The next day, that is, the Sea Circle calendar 1514 May 8th. For defeating the Beast's pirates, playing Marine's momentum and prestige. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, the substitute Admiral Luolei, was officially promoted by the world government to become Marine's 4th Admiral, codenamed Ninja. When the news came out, the whole world shook. No way. Countless people on the sea did not think that. Marine will break the rules and traditions and directly promote Luolei as Marine's 4th Admiral, codenamed Ninja God. Originally, after the Beast's pirates were defeated, the whole sea, the eyes of countless people have already converged on Naval Headquarters, wanting to see how Naval Headquarters will reward Luolei. Don't look at it now. Naval Headquarters will not be released. The first shot was Wang Jai, who directly promoted Luolei to Marine's 4th Admiral. For a time, the whole sea is surging with dark tides again. In particular, many of the big pirates in the New World and the giants of the underground dark forces are even more trembling. No one knows what big things Luolei will do after being promoted to 043 as Marine's 4th Admiral. With the experience of Beast's pirates, even Red Hair pirates, Whitebeard pirates, BIGMOM pirates have virtually entered a state of preparation. As for Beast's pirates, it doesn't seem to be so powerful now, after Kaido of the Beasts was suppressed and released by Marine. Carrying the released Jin and Quinn, he shrank to Wanokuni like a bereaved dog, seemingly licking his wounds secretly, waiting for the next crazy outbreak. Therefore, in this situation, as Marine's new admiral, Luolei, who represents Marine's highest combat power, has become the focus of countless pirates in the New World. At the same time, New World, on a calm sea, a Marine's top warship is slowly sailing. On deck, Luolei, Terumi Mei, Yaoi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who have already finished their practice, are gathering together. Besides, Ain and Bins, who just graduated from recruit camp. That's right, these two Marine recruits were forcibly put into Luolei by Zephyr. In Zephyr's words, even if you are going the elite route, you still need to serve tea, collect information, and handle internal affairs. It just so happened that two of his best students had just graduated, and they were packaged for you. To this, Luolei did not refuse either. As an admiral, he also wants to enjoy some admiral-level treatment. Boss Luolei, the code name Marine gave you is okay. Looking at a newspaper in his hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen said slowly, smoking a pipe, Ninja, it smells like first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Is acceptable. Hearing this, Hoshigaki Kisame nodded with a smile, and said in surprise, I thought the world government and Marine would pretend to be dead. But I didn't expect that it would be the first to promote Luo Lei's boss as Marine's fourth admiral. HMPH, it counts world government and Marine getting to know each other. Yui smiled disdainfully, snorted coldly, and said disapprovingly, 7 billion bounty, only 3.5 billion bounty was sent. I will definitely go to naval headquarters when I have time to question Sengoku. Just put on naval headquarters Marineford and forget it. Upon hearing this, Terumi Mei, who was eating at first, seemed to be interested, blinked her eyes, and said, with our strength, even if we go to naval headquarters, we can turn our hands into clouds and turn our hands into rain. I agree. A flash of excitement flashed in Hoshigaki Kisami's eyes, and he said, what is Marine Admiral? In fact, the boss Luo Lei should become Marine's Marshal, independent Marine, and become the real Marine King. Once Lord Luo Lei becomes the Marine King, we will play as Admiral from the Dragon Minister. When it comes to this, Hoshigaki Kisame also said cursingly, at that time, the world government, celestial dragons, and 4 emperors will all play in the mud. This sea will be our ninja's world. Listening to Hoshigaki Kisame and Terumi Mei's diabolical dialogue, Ain and Binz, who had been standing beside them pouring tea and pouring water, couldn't help swallowing their saliva, and wisps of cold sweat poured out of their foreheads and their bodies trembled a few times. Want to cry. Ain and Binz both wanted to cry. The two were packaged by Teacher Zephyr and given to Luo Lei. I thought it was a good thing, but in the end, I heard something like the Marine King, independence, naval headquarters, etc., these outrageous words, if it spreads out, the sea, world government, naval headquarters will be shaken. Fan. Did not hear. We didn't hear anything. In the end, Ain and Binz shook their heads and said a few words in their hearts. All right. At this time, looking at Ain and Binz who were terrified with cold sweat on their faces, Luo Lei couldn't help smiling and said, let's not talk about that for now, let's think about which 4 emperors to play with. Actually, Luo Lei didn't even think of it. Marine and the world government would be so bold to promote him as Marine's 4th admiral. Now that you have been promoted, then find something to do in New World. If you want to look for it, look for the Whitebeard pirates. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a pipe, exhaled a puff of white smoke, and said with a smile, Whitebeard is known as the strongest man in the sea. Only by defeating him, Luo Lei sir, you can justifiably become the strongest ninja in the world. I agree too. The strongest man in the world can only be Lord Luo Lei. With the beginning of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yazuki I, Hoshigaki Kisame, Terumi Mei also made their own voices. Obviously, I want Luo Lei to fight Whitebeard. After all, from West Blue to New World, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yui I, Hoshigaki Kisame shot, Luo Lei almost never really shot. Now is the time to shoot and shock the sea. Chapter 91. Row. After listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen et al., Luo Lei looked up at the sea, nodded, and said meaningfully, since I have become Marine's admiral, I have to stand up for anything, just as I also want to meet the man who is known as the strongest man in the world, the power of Whitebeard. Nowadays, Kai Sea Circle Calendar 1514. Whitebeard's body is still at the end of its peak. The Whitebeard pirates are also recognized as the strongest pirates in the 4 Emperors' Pirates. In the original book, Whitebeard, who was old and sick, and suffered from dark injuries, brought the incomplete Whitebeard pirates, which caused heavy losses to the entire naval headquarters. Now, except for Ace who has not joined the Whitebeard pirates, Blackbeard of the Whitebeard pirates, Sachi is there, and the overall strength is definitely not weak. Since it is not weak, then go for a visit. The next moment, Luo Lei ordered without any hesitation, Ain, adjust the direction and head towards the Whitebeard Sea. Abaj. The voice did not fall. Ain seemed to be frightened, exclaimed, couldn't help swallowing, and said incredulously, Luo Lei Admiral, are you really going to the Whitebeard Sea? The Whitebeard pirates declare war, and the whole sea will shake. Let's go. Luo Lei shrugged disapprovingly, and said, as Marine's Admiral, I should fight against pirates, especially the big pirates like Whitebeard, which are my top priority. This. Ain's forehead overflowed with cold sweat, and he opened his mouth, trying to refute something, but couldn't say anything. No way. Really, this order from Admiral Ray is so crazy. In a few words, it was time to attack the Whitebeard pirates, one of the 4 emperors. Is this too sloppy? After all, This is Whitebeard, who has been across the sea for decades and is known as the strongest man in the world. Not some kind of cat or dog. Say something bad. Even naval headquarters will not easily provoke the Whitebeard pirates. Binz, you go. Seeing Aang looking extremely nervous and helpless, Luo Lei smiled, then turned his gaze to Binz, who had been silent and stiff, and said, "By the way, I will report to naval headquarters that I am visiting Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors." Okay. Although Binz's forehead was also overflowing with cold sweat, he still resisted the shock in his heart and carefully turned around to convey the order. "When you hear we're going to fight the Whitebeard pirates, naval headquarters will probably lie down and play dead again." Looking at Binz's back, Hoshigaki Kisame said dismissively, "We sent Kaido, Quinn, and Jin to naval headquarters, but naval headquarters was released again, which is really incompetent. Even if the beast Kaido can't be killed, it can't be easily let go." Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth curled into a smirk, and said in a low voice, "It's ridiculous that a single beast Kaido makes naval headquarters helpless." Ha ha. Yaoi took the teacup and poured a cup of hot tea on his own, and said slowly, "The senior management of naval headquarters is a group of tool people. Don't worry about naval headquarters, we can do whatever we want." Listening to the conversation of several people, Luo Lei stretched and smiled lightly, with a hint of pride in his eyes. "Whitebeard, let you experience the power of wood style in Tensagen." Naval headquarters. Inside the marshal's office at the top of the fortress. Alas, Sengoku looked at the latest document in his hand and sighed uncontrollably. After promoting Luo Lei as Marine's 4th admiral, he vaguely felt that he was powerless. What's more humiliating is that after promoting Luo Lei as Marine Admiral, Luo Lei did not respond or reply. The meaning of naval headquarters. This gave Sengoku a feeling of beating a dog with meat buns, with no return. Dong dong. Sudden. Just at this time, with a knock on the door. I saw staff. He opened the door with a serious face and walked in. "Marshal Sengoku, something bad happened." Staff Officer Crane took a deep breath and said in shocking words, "I just got the news that Admiral Luo Lei and his men set out for the Whitebeard Sea area, saying that they are going to visit Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors." "What?" Listen to this. Sengoku was stunned at first, and then his shocked head hummed, showing an extremely exaggerated expression. "What? Did you make a mistake? Just crushed the beast's pirates. Now go to the Whitebeard Seas, one of the 4 emperors, and visit Whitebeard as Marine Admiral. Does this mean that the New World is not chaotic enough? Or do you think naval headquarters can no longer restrain him? Without his orders, he can do whatever he wants without any regard for naval headquarters at all." Luo Lei Admiral has set off. At this time, Staff Crane said solemnly, "Tomorrow at the latest, New World will riot. Send my order to get him back to naval headquarters immediately." Boom. The next moment, accompanied by the sound of clapping the table, Sengoku clenched his fists and said with a serious face, "It is extremely inappropriate to rashly start a war with the Whitebeard pirates. The slightest carelessness will cause turmoil in the sea." "Is that useful?" Staff Officer Crane shook his head bitterly and asked. Upon hearing this, Sengoku opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but sat down in the chair in a very slump. Yup, today is not the same as it used to be. The naval headquarters in the past were all stubborn, trying their best to avoid conflicts with the 4 emperors' pirates. Even if there were occasional conflicts, it would be a local war and would not affect the overall situation. Now Luo Lei is on the rise. He took his own men and took the lead in defeating the beast's pirates, and now he is going to visit Whitebeard. There is something that naval headquarters dare not do. He can do everything. Did you get slapped? Must have slapped naval headquarters in the face. But Sengoku, as Marine's marshal, was powerless to stop all this, and could only watch Luo Lei do whatever he wanted in New World. Has this matter been reported to the world government? I do not know how long it has been. Sengoku gradually came back to his senses, turned his eyes, looked at Staff Officer Crane, and asked a question. The world government said this is our Marine's own business, and we can solve it internally. Staff Officer he hesitated before adding, the 5 elders seem to mean the same. Let's figure it out ourselves. A look of anger flashed in Sengoku's eyes, and he couldn't help roaring, 5 elders let us naval headquarters promote Luo Lei as Marine's 4th admiral, now something goes wrong, and call us naval headquarters ourselves solve. Really, when our naval headquarters is a public toilet, come and go when you want. When it comes to this, perhaps because of some grievance and helplessness, Sengoku's eyes narrowed, and the veins on his clenched fist were exposed. Originally, he is not willing to promote Luo. But the five elders personally ordered, with a very tough attitude, he reluctantly promoted Luo as Marine's 4th Admiral. Well now, Luo, who was promoted to Marine Admiral, is not obedient at all, and the world government and five elders are burdened again, and it is your naval headquarters' responsibility, which makes Sengoku's heart as uncomfortable as eating shit and drinking urine. Sengoku. It seems to have noticed that Sengoku has some gaffes. Staff Officer Crane frowned and couldn't help but reminded, as Marine, we have no choice but to obey. Understood. Sengoku's eyes flickered slightly, his expression fluctuated, he took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and silently let go of his fists, saying, just wait and see what happens. No doubt, Sengoku still chose to remain silent. Since it cannot be stopped, then sit back and watch the turmoil in New World. Anyway, world government is also watching the play. You don't care, I don't care, then let Luo do whatever he wants in New World without organization and discipline. Therefore, in this situation, with the order of Sengoku, Naval Headquarters chose to lie down again, and let Marine's 4th Admiral Luo turn the clouds and rain in New World. Holy Land, Mariajoy, World Government, inside the offices of the five elders. After defeating the Beast's pirates, Luo and his men went to visit the 4 emperors again. It's really a headache. This Luo is an arrogant master who likes to do whatever he wants. Why did Lord Yimu order us to promote him as Marine Admiral? Whitebeard is not a fuel-efficient lamp, this time the New World is going to be turbulent again. I've let Marine take care of his own internal affairs, don't ask us for anything. At this moment, the five elders were discussing with each other, and although their expressions were not as angry as Sengoku, they were not so relaxed. The current Luo, with the more exposed his strength, has become more and more out of control. To be more precise, the naval headquarters and the world government seem to have no binding force for Luo at all. Following Lord Mu's order, the five elders simply did not dare to say anything more. So much so that in the face of Luo's insistence, he went to visit Whitebeard with his hands. There's nothing they can do. Order. If Luo doesn't listen, wouldn't it be a slap in the face? If they didn't order, the five elders felt a little unhappy in their hearts. After all, an uncontrolled monster-level combat force was also a troublesome time bomb for Marine and the world government. After a while, the five elders with the highest status among the five elders frowned and said in a deep voice, let's stay put and wait for Lord Yimu's instructions. Yes, agree, we sit in the Holy Land and watch the New World take off. Next moment, the other 5 elders looked at each other, and they all responded. As long as Lord Yimu is there, they won't be afraid of anything. No matter how strong Luo and his subordinates are, I am afraid that they will be suppressed by Lord Yimu with a destructive force. After all, I am Sama as an immortal existence. The next day, a message came out. The New World, which was already turbulent, set off a huge wave in an instant. As for the content of the message, it was Marine Admiral Luo, who went to the Whitebeard Sea with his men to visit the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. As soon as the news came out, the sea was frightened. Originally, after Marine promoted Luo to Marine's 4th Admiral, codenamed Ninja God, it attracted countless attention from the sea. It's good now, just been promoted to Marine Admiral. Going to visit Whitebeard, this is the rhythm of the 3 fires when the new official takes office. What exactly is Marine trying to do? The New World is going to change completely. For a time, in the second half of the Grand Line, many big pirates and giants of the underground dark forces were trembling, thinking in their minds. An idea passed by involuntarily. Even the Red Hair Pirates and the Bigmom Pirates became nervous. Joke. With the lessons of the Beast's pirates, even the members of the 4 Emperors' pirates would not dare to underestimate the strength of Luo and others. The only question now is whether the man known as the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, can defeat Luo in front of everyone's eyes and increase his prestige and haki as a pirate. After all, if Luo is allowed to develop, the pirates will be suppressed and lingering on without naval headquarters. Without any exaggeration, once even Whitebeard is defeated. So, in the near future, Luo Lei may be able to do it by himself. Suppressed countless pirates throughout the Great Pirate Era. So, in the near future, Luo Lei may be able to do it by himself. Suppressed countless pirates throughout the Great Pirate Era. This is not alarmist, but something is happening. Now, many people with a little brain in the sea can see that the naval headquarters and the world government have almost zero restraint and suppression on Luo Lei. That also means, Luo Lei does things without explaining to anyone. Did not see, after the incident that Luo Lei was going to visit the Whitebeard pirates. Didn't naval headquarters even put a fart. Therefore, even if naval headquarters promoted Luo Lei to be the 4th Admiral of Marine, it may not be of any use. It can't be suppressed, or it can't be suppressed. The current Luo Lei Admiral is like a group of wild horses that run away, doing whatever they want. Thinking of this, many of the big pirates on the sea and the giants of the underground dark world have faintly felt their scalps go numb. To put it mildly, they are willing to face naval headquarters, and they do not want to face Marine Admiral Luo Lei, who is playing out of common sense like. What makes the scalp tingling is Luo Lei's subordinates, or a group of ninjas with monster-level combat power. Sad, want to cry. In this situation, countless eyes on the sea turn to the Whitebeard Sea area, where there will be another war that will affect the entire sea. The world's strongest man, Whitebeard and Marine Admiral, Luo Lei's peak duel may decide the future direction of the pirates. Once One Piece, Roger's sentence before his execution opened the prelude to the Great Pirate Era. Now Marine's Admiral Ninjin Luo Lei, once the Whitebeard pirates are defeated again, may close the so-called Great Pirate Era by himself. At the same time, the waters of the Whitebeard pirates. On the endless sea, the huge Moby Dick is floating on the sea. Quiet, except for the sound of the waves. This sea is a piece of silence. If someone is here, they will CCFF perceive the atmosphere of this sea area, and before they know it, it has become strange and dignified, as if a black cloud is pressing down on the city, making many people breathless come. And on the deck, the captains of the divisions of the Whitebeard pirates, such as Marco, Yoja, Sachi, and Bista, have become extremely ugly. Did not expect. They really didn't think. After Luo Lei was promoted to Marine's 4th Admiral by Naval Headquarters, he would take the initiative to visit the Whitebeard pirates and take Father Whitebeard as Li Wei's target. This is simply unbearable. Moreover, even if you pick soft persimmons, it's impossible to choose them, the Whitebeard pirates. Therefore, there is only one truth, and that is the shinobi god. Luo Lei did it on purpose. After defeating the Beast's pirates, he wanted to attack the Whitebeard pirates. This Luo Lei is really arrogant. Boom, with a sound of trampling the deck. I saw the short and chubby Bramank roared extremely angrily. This so-called shinobi god, Luo Lei just didn't take our Whitebeard pirates seriously and wanted to visit Father Whitebeard, isn't it? Do you want to find fault? We Whitebeard pirates should declare war on Marine. Rakyo, with brown hair and a mustache, clenched the meteor hammer in his hand and said coldly, no matter what, we can't be looked down upon by Marine, and we can't let others see jokes. We are the Whitebeard pirates. Murloc Namuel showed his sharp fangs and said with gritted teeth, now all forces are paying attention to our Whitebeard pirates, so only a battle can we show the prestige of our Whitebeard pirates. Okay, Father Whitebeard hasn't spoken yet, why are you so excited? After hearing these words, Marco took a deep breath, glanced at Father Whitebeard who was drinking happily, and said, we are not Beast's pirates, soldiers will block the water and cover up, who is afraid of whom? Ha ha ha, I've been thinking too much. Foil Bista, the captain of the 5th Division, heard the words, suddenly realized and laughed, and said, with Father Whitebeard here, Marine Admiral Luo Lei wants to deal with us, it's just a dream. Yes, Father Whitebeard is the strongest being. Never mind, with Daddy Whitebeard here, we'll be done. This Marine Admiral Luo Lei looks a little swollen and has never been beaten by society. Do you think that after defeating Kaido of the Beasts, he can do whatever he wants? Quote. After listening to Bista's words, the originally dull atmosphere was also swept away. The captains of many divisions of the Whitebeard pirates seemed to have thought of something, and responded one after another. As sons, they actually had doubts about their father's strength just now. There are some things they shouldn't. After all, father is known as the strongest man in the world. Idiot sons. Not far away, Whitebeard, who was drinking from the jar, glanced at his sons and shook his head involuntarily. To be honest, he didn't expect that his sons are so old and relying on him so much, which makes Whitebeard's heart painful and happy, but as soon as he thinks of Luo Lei, Whitebeard's expression suddenly changes. Dignified. Known as the strongest man in the world, he also has his own arrogance and dignity. Since Luo Lei is coming to visit the Whitebeard pirates, as one of the 4 emperors, he cannot hide, nor will he hide. Gu la la la, idiot sons. Thinking of this, a look of determination flashed in Whitebeard's eyes, and he laughed in high spirits. You don't have to worry about anything, Dad is the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Ha 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 ha. Hear the words of Daddy Whitebeard's self-confidence to ultimate. The captains of the divisions, such as Marco, Thatch, and Vista, looked at each other immediately and laughed in unison. They were too cautious as sons. With Father Whitebeard here, they were afraid of a hammer. What? For a time, the deck was full of joy again. After all, for Marco and others, their own Father Whitebeard is an invincible existence, even in the face of the so-called Marine's 4th Admiral, Luo Lei, they are fearless. Daddy Whitebeard, you can't be at the top forever. In a corner of the deck, the burly Marshal D. Teach, with a rough appearance and thick hair on his body, flashed a strange color in his eyes, and muttered to himself, the god of ninja, Luo Lei has become the trend. Father Whitebeard, can you really stand it? If it was Whitebeard when he was young, Marshal D. Teach would never have such worries. But the current Whitebeard is already at the end of its peak, and its strength and ability are gradually weakening. Therefore, in the face of Luo Lei, Yaoi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who are in the limelight, it is not necessarily true beat. Thinking of this, Marshal D. Teach's heart gave birth to a sense of crisis, a sense of opportunity and anxiety. He hasn't found Logia dark fruit yet. Once the Whitebeard pirates encounter a crisis, he can't think of a second way except to escape. I hope you can hold on. The next moment, Marshal D. Teach, while worried, clenched his fists, a look of determination flashed in his eyes. He still chose to put his hope on Father Whitebeard. Have nothing to say. This man who can die for the sake of his son still has a little use value. Now, he still needs to stay in the Whitebeard pirates and find Logia dark fruit in a low-key manner, in order to have the confidence to betray the Whitebeard pirates. At the same time, one of the beasts of the 4 emperors, Kaido's residence is the island of Oni. At this time, the atmosphere of the entire Ghost Island is extremely dull. Especially after Kaido of the Beasts came back with Jin and Quinn, one of the 3 plagues, like bereaved dogs. The pirates and the Beasts pirates and countless people in Wano-kuni shivered for a while. And in the central area of Onishima, one of the 3 plagues, Blaze, Jin, and Pandemic, Quinn, Flying 6, Fuzzy Fu, Sasaki, Junti, Black Maria, some of the real hidden givers, and Wano-kuni's general, Kurozumi Orochi, or all. He lowered his head, his forehead was dripping with cold sweat, and he didn't even dare to breathe. No way. This time the fiasco was unexpected. Marine's Luo Lei, with his subordinates, gave Beasts pirates a heavy blow, like a blow to the head, making the pirates of Beasts pirates tremble for a while. Boss Kaido, Luo Lei and his men have gone to the Whitebeard Sea area. I don't know how long it took. Jin, one of the 3 disasters, hesitated for a while, and then cautiously reported, the New World has been boiling again, and they are all looking to see if the Whitebeard pirates can resist Marine's 4th Admiral Luo Lei. Terrorist attack. Ha ha ha. Upon hearing this, the beast Kaido, who was drinking suffocating wine, couldn't help laughing violently, his eyes filled with violence, and said, the sea is really getting more and more interesting. This Luo Lei stepped on my superior Marine Admiral. After that, do you want to fight the Whitebeard pirates again? Let's dormant for a while, sit and watch the situation rise. One day Lao Su will come out of the sea again. After all, Lao Su is a beast. Kaido ah. The next moment, with a terrifying breath fluctuating, I saw 100 beasts. Kaido opened his arms violently, and a terrifying momentum instantly shook all directions. Yes, Lord Kaido. Yes, Lord Kaido. Yes, Lord Kaido. The voice did not fall. One of the 3 plagues, Blaze, Jin, and Pandemic, Quinn, Flying 6, Fuzzy Fu, Sasaki, Junti, Black Maria, some of the real hidden givers, and Wano Kuni's general, Kurozumi Orochi, are all shivering nodded. Perhaps to outsiders, Kaido's boss is an immortal lunatic with no brains. But only their subordinates know that the boss Kaido is actually a ruthless hero. At the beginning, when Wano Kuni was in full swing, like the Moonlight Odin, the son of heaven, wasn't he pulled down by the boss Kaido? Everything has just begun, and who will kill the deer? At the same time, the whole sea gradually fell into silence. Oh, there is one kind of broken. The smell of wind and rain is coming. Many people are thinking, after defeating the Beast's pirates, one of the four Emperor's pirates, will the Whitebeard pirates become the second victim of the four Emperor's pirates? Then, countless eyes, they gathered in the waters of Whitebeard. Because, a battle that will change the pattern of the era of the great pirates is about to begin. Under such circumstances, 2 days. Time is passing little by little. Finally, on the 5th day, the Marine's top warship that Luolei was on entered the Whitebeard waters slowly. But, perhaps it was received in advance. As soon as Luolei and others were on the Marine's top warship entering the Whitebeard waters, they were intercepted by dozens of pirate ships of the Whitebeard pirates, led by the Moby Dick. War is imminent. Quiet. A dead silence. At this time, in the seas of Whitebeard, dozens of pirate ships of Beast's pirates are hovering on the sea, facing off against a top marine a few hundred meters away. No one spoke, but it made the atmosphere of this sea area become solemn and strange. On the deck of the pirate ship Moby Dick, one of the four emperors, Whitebeard, Marco, Sachi, and Vista, the captains of the squadrons were standing there, with the top marines on the deck of the marine top warship. Luolei, Yaoi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Terumime and others met each other. The war is about to begin. In the face of this almost suffocating scene, on the sea in the distance, many people who followed behind to watch the battle carefully swallowed their saliva, and a cold sweat appeared on their foreheads unconsciously. 047. Just kidding, one side is Whitebeard, who is known as the strongest man in the world, and the other is Marine's new Admiral Ninja Luolei. No matter what the final result is, the process will definitely be very intense. Time is passing by. In a trance. No sign. Countless feathers fell from the sky. Like snowflakes, it was scattered on dozens of pirate ships of the Whitebeard pirates. An ordinary pirate from the Whitebeard pirates who was confronting Luolei and the others had not yet reacted, and his eyes felt a little lost, and he didn't listen very much. Then, he couldn't help but closed his eyes and his body. He also fell on the deck. Boom. This is the sound of this ordinary pirate of the Whitebeard pirates, the body falling on the deck. And this seems to be a fuse. Bang, bang, bang. In the next instant, dozens of Whitebeard pirates' pirate ships appeared on the scene, and many Whitebeard pirates seemed to have fallen into some kind of fantasy. However, not only that, after many ordinary pirates of the Whitebeard pirates fell on the deck, the captains of the squadron led by Marco, Sachi, and Bista also lost their eyes and became confused, and seemed to have a tendency to fall on the deck. What the hell is going on here? In vain, Marco resisted his mental exhaustion, bit his tongue, and shouted, "Daddy Whitebeard, help us." Humph. Whitebeard, who had never moved, frowned, as if he had sensed something, then clenched the huge naginata in his hand and tapped the deck without any warning. A dull voice sounded. In an instant, this sound of tapping on the deck was like a slap on the head, hitting the hearts of captains such as Marco and Sachi. It made them all wake up suddenly, and after looking at each other could see wisps of confusion and disbelief flashing on their respective cheeks. What happened? Without the suppression of Conqueror's Haki, how could the pirates of the ordinary Whitebeard pirates collectively lose consciousness and fall on the deck? Also, at such a tense time, why do they also get distracted and want to sleep? I can't even seem to control my mind. If it wasn't for Father Whitebeard, the entire Whitebeard pirates would have been wiped out before they started fighting. Terrified. That's kind of scary. It seemed like some phantom feathers appeared just now. Why is that? The pirates of the Whitebeard pirates fell before they even started. What method is this? It's so weird, looking at the scene in front of me from a distance with a telescope. Countless spectators and intelligence collectors were a little stunned for a while. It was the scene before them that made them a little unbelievable. Because they didn't realize what was going on and didn't feel the suppression of Conqueror's haki. What happened? Many pirates of the Whitebeard pirates had fallen unconscious on the deck. In other words, just began. The Whitebeard pirates' momentum was suppressed. At the same time, Dad Whitebeard, what's up with those phantom feathers? Sachi, who had just woken up, wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, and said incredulously, is it the shinobi god, Luo? But, why didn't we notice any abnormality? It's terrifying. Beasta clenched the western sword in his hand, and did not dare to stare at the marine top warship in the distance, and said with lingering fear, if it weren't for Father Whitebeard, maybe we would all fall into a deep sleep and lose consciousness. Marco showed a ray of disbelief, gritted his teeth and said, Ninja. Ninja's methods are too weird. Idiot sons, if my dad guessed correctly, this should be an illusion. At this time, Whitebeard, who had not spoken for a long time, suddenly had a sharp look in his eyes, took a deep breath, and said, in Wano-kuni, some ninjas can also use illusions, but, far from being so strong, if you guess wrong, it should be improved. What? Illusion? Upon hearing this, Marco, Sachi, Beasta and others let out an exclamation. And on the other side, on the deck of that marine's top warship. Sure enough, it still doesn't work. Those pirates don't have chakra in their bodies, and even the power of illusion has dropped a few grades. Yes, illusion is almost useless to a strong man like Whitebeard. We still need to continue to optimize. It is best to adapt to the training system of the pirate world. I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen, Yaoi, Hoshigaki Kisame, and Terumi Mei shook their heads in disappointment. Just now, the four of them joined forces to secretly cast a large-scale Nirvana prison technique, but only affected the Whitebeard pirates. The ordinary pirates, Whitebeard and the captains of each division are not affected by one. But, it's alright, at least it hit the momentum of the Whitebeard pirates. Listening to the dialogue of Sarutobi Hiruzen et al. Ain and Bins lowered their heads, suppressed the vibrations in their hearts, and swallowed cautiously. Too manic. Hit Whitebeard in the face as soon as he came. Is this a rhythm that completely ignores the Whitebeard pirates? Whitebeard, we're here to visit you. The next moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to have thought of something. He dipped his pipe and chuckled, as the strongest man in the world, you still have a few brushes. Our illusions are almost useless to you. Goo. After hearing this, holding the naginata, Whitebeard took a few steps forward, and laughed out loud, if it's just a simple visit, I'll entertain you with good food and wine, but, if there's ulterior motives, it's just fists. Quote. Besides, you're still Marines. The voice did not fall. A terrifying and boundless violent aura suddenly rose into the sky. There is no doubt that this is the momentum of the Emperor, and it is also the unique momentum of the strongest man in the world. Who do you think you are? As Marine, you were the first to use illusion on my territory, and you didn't take me seriously at all. After roaring two more words, Whitebeard's expression has become extremely gloomy and cold, and the pressure on his body has become more domineering and violent. Influenced by the originally blue sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds, as if a storm was coming. Papa Whitebeard is angry, perceiving the imposing pressure of Father Whitebeard at close range. Marco, Sachi and other captains involuntarily poured cold sweat on their foreheads. Obviously, they didn't expect that Father Whitebeard would be angry if he disagreed. However, thinking of the identities of Luo and others Marine, and the provocative behavior of taking the lead in using illusion, Marco and other captains were relieved. With the identity and status of the father, facing such a provocation that is almost slapped in the face, if you don't get angry, then what is the ghost? Ha ha. Facing the furious Whitebeard, Sarutobi Hiruzen slowly exhaled a breath of white smoke and said, as expected of the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, he expresses the Emperor's domineering incisively and vividly. Indeed, Hoshigaki Kisame grinned and nodded, our conqueror's haki seems a little less coquettish. Even if he is no longer young, he seems to be more domineering than Kaido of the Beasts. Yaoi said in a grumpy tone, I really want to have a good fight with Whitebeard. Terumi Mei, you go and play first. Luo shook his head lightly and said with a slightly raised corner of his mouth after listening to the conversation of several people, it's best to show your own style and prestige. Good, Luo. Boom. The voice did not fall. Terumi Mei flew out with moonwalk from Marine 6 styles. Coming. The moment Terumi May left the deck. On the deck of the Moby Dick, the eyes of the squad leaders such as Marco and Thatch suddenly turned gloomy. King to king, general to general, if it was Luole, they would have nothing to say, but now there is a female ninja who appeared out of nowhere. As Whitebeard's son, they can't bear it. Dad, I'll go meet her for a while. Phoenix seal. With a wave of flames, Marco directly transformed into a phoenix entwined by the blue flame of regeneration, and sent out a shock wave of extreme terror, attacking Terumi May at a lightning-fast speed. Good come. In the face of Marco's attack, Terumi May didn't have any fear. She turned into a Suzaku with red flames all over her body when her mind moved. Rumbling. The next moment, a deafening roar resounded. Suzaku, who was Terumi May's incarnation, was attacked by the shock wave forcibly. During the surging flames of the whole body, the temperature increased linearly, and an energy wave that made the air tremble slightly erupted in an instant. What? Did you make a mistake? It's the demon fruit power of the phantom beasts again. Marine Admiral Luole, where did the monster ninja recruits come from? Why does it feel like a steady stream? Looking at Marco's Phoenix, Terumi May's Suzaku, whether it was the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, or the people watching the battle with binoculars in the distant sea, they couldn't help but let out an uproar. I thought Terumi May was an ordinary ninja. It's good now. It turns out that others are not ordinary at all. Like Sarutobi Hiruzen, Hoshigaki Kisame, and Yaoi Ai, they are all top-level devil fruit ninjas. You're not worthy to stop me. Armed color lava-style monster-solving technique. After resisting Marco's attack, Terumi May's incarnation of Suzaku's wings waved a few times like a knot, then opened his beak and spit out a stream of acid mixed with red flames. Laugh. As the acid mixed with red flames spewed out. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a fiery red acid river, surging towards Marco. Ching Yan Yan. Seeing this, Marco didn't hesitate. He used the blue flame to condense the phoenix tail feathers in his hands, and then turned into a flame fist and blasted towards the acid river. Scoff. Scoff. However, looks powerful, but when the flame fist bombarded the acid river, it did not turn up any waves, and was swallowed up by one melting. What? See this scene. Marco's expression changed suddenly, and he wanted to control the phoenix who was incarnated to retreat, but found that it was too late, and the fiery red acid river, under the control of Terumi Ming, rushed towards him like an overwhelming force. Finally, with a rapid retreat, still a part of the red acid splashed onto Marco's body. Zizi. Zizi. A burning sound resounded. The blue flame and the red acid are constantly intertwined on Marco's body, and the aura of the hurt Marco's body is constantly surging. Obviously some things are out of control. Lock up. Finally, Marco was in excruciating pain. It retreated from the form of the phoenix and retreated to the deck. Looking at Marco who had withdrawn from the form of a phoenix, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates couldn't help but gasp. It was true that Marco looked a little miserable. The whole body is all black marks corroded by the red acid solution, which is still produced under the protection of the blue inflammation of regeneration. In other words, if there is no blue regeneration flame protection, Marco may not be directly corroded. What a horrible acidity this is. What a powerful acid. Armament hockey, the perfect combination of heat and acidity, does even Marco nearly suffer. This female ninja is really scary. Soon after the initial shock, the captains Beasta, Sage and other captains exclaimed involuntarily, and they all turned their worried eyes to Marco. No way. As the captain of the Whitebeard pirates, they are very aware of Marco's strength, and he is definitely a stable deputy. Even if they face Marine Admiral, they can still fight. The results of it, now facing an unknown soldier, he was actually beaten back by a move. What kind of horrible ninjutsu is this? For a time, the team leaders of the Whitebeard pirates looked at Suzaku who was Terumi May's incarnation, as if they were looking at some terrifying monster. Their hearts were shaken, and they showed wisps of fear. Why is there another monster-level ninja? And at the corner of the deck, Blackbeard, who was pretending to be asleep, swallowed cautiously, not even daring to breathe. He also didn't expect that Luolei's subordinates would actually have another monster-level ninja. That terrifying attack, unless he got the fruit, he would die without a place to be buried. Thinking of this, the heart of the mafia was a little cold. Envy, jealousy and hatred towards Luolei for a while. he couldn't figure out why Luolei does things smoothly and any subordinate can be on his own. What about him? In the Whitebeard pirate team trembling wretched, but never found Logia dark fruit. The same people. Why is the difference so big? I am still struggling to be a son to others. Others have been able to run rampant in the New World and face the 4 Emperor's pirates. Stop her. You can't let her do whatever she wants. But, just at this time, Marco ignored the corroded mark on his body and shouted, "Let's do it together." Hearing this sentence, Sachi, Bista and other captains gritted their teeth one after another, showing a resolute look. Quote. Armed color katakana middle. Boil style katakana middle. Chowu technique. The Suzaku incarnated by Terumi Mei didn't care so much. Between the surging energy of armament haki, chakra, and Suzaku's own energy, his wings waved a few times like a knot, and he opened his beak and spat out a piece of a terrifying fog filled the air toward the Moby Dick pirate ship. Scoff, scoff. In an instant, the fog melted the sails and flags of the Moby Dick to slag. Silently, the fog is constantly spreading, especially with the help of wisps of sea breeze. It will soon spread to the deck, where Marco and the others are. Hands on. These mists are mingled with terrifying energy fluctuations. It has to be broken up. The next moment, with almost no hesitation, the captains such as Marco, Bista, and Sage all started to fight back. Shock, however, with a cold shout, Whitebeard, who had not moved all the time, seemed to feel a little distressed for his son. He clenched his left fist slightly, and the terrifying white fluorescent light gathered slightly, and slammed it out. Crack, crack. This is the sound of cracks in the air. Under the incredible gaze of Marco and the others, the concussive force from Father Whitebeard hit the boil-style acid mist in the blink of an eye. Kai, kai, kai. A strange sound rang out. After the power of shock and the acid mist of boil-style intertwined, they dissipated. Is this the power of shock fruit? See this scene. Suzaku, who is Terumi Mei's incarnation, has a look of disbelief in his eyes. You know, after learning Conqueror's Haki, Marine 6 styles, and eating the devil fruit of Eudemons, her, lava style, and, boil style, have been enhanced qualitatively even for cage-level powerhouses. Can kill in seconds, but was blocked by the power of shock. The only explanation is not that she is too weak, but that Whitebeard is somewhat strong. One of the 4 emperors, Whitebeard, has done it. I really didn't expect that any of Luolei's subordinates could attract Whitebeard to do it. The war is about to break out. At the moment when Whitebeard started. In this sea area, many people watching the battle with binoculars couldn't help but exclaimed. Did not expect, really did not expect. Wang to Wang will be general, Marine Admiral Luolei has not yet started. Whitebeard couldn't help but do it again, which meant that the Whitebeard pirates had been suppressed again. Blocked. Daddy Whitebeard has done it. At this time, Marco, Bista and other captains were also a little stunned, but they didn't think so much. Instead, their eyes were full of surprises. Obviously, they didn't expect that at this critical moment, Father Whitebeard punched, solves everything. Goo la la la. Whitebeard laughed loudly, glanced at his sons dotingly, and said arrogantly, "Idiot sons, let Daddy solve it. You just need to watch Daddy's performance." After all, he still couldn't bear to see his sons injured, so he took the initiative. Of course, Whitebeard didn't regret it. His son was his closest relative, so what's the point of pampering him? Daddy Whitebeard. The voice did not fall. Marco, Bista and other captains seemed to have lost control of their emotions, their eyes gradually filled with tears, and they lowered their heads one after another. Dad always cares about them so much. Really so happy. But, at the thought of facing one of Marine Admiral's men. Those of them who are sons are a little helpless, and Marco and others feel that they are useless. After all, it was Daddy Whitebeard who took all the goo la la la. Idiot sons, take good care of me. Looking at the tearful Marco and others, Whitebeard once again let out his own unique laugh, turned his eyes to Terumi Mei in midair, and said, "You are very strong, especially your ninjutsu. Even if I watch it, I feel a little palpitated." Yes, Suzaku, who was Terumi Mei's incarnation, erupted with a terrifying heat, and immediately raised his head proudly, saying, "Is this the improved, lava style, and, boil style? I do not understand." Whitebeard shook his head helplessly and said, "Your ninjutsu is too unfamiliar to us. When talking about this, Whitebeard also said, if it was normal, I would definitely play against you and feel the so-called lava style and boil style, but now, I want to play against your boss, Luo Lei. Give it a try. How much does he weigh? After all, he has never really shot. You sure? After hearing this, Zhao Meiming withdrew from Suzaku's form, her eyes flickered slightly, and said, Boss Luo Lei is very strong. I'm not weak either. The corners of Whitebeard's mouth raised, and he smiled, as the strongest man in the world, I have never been afraid. Since Whitebeard is courting death, Terumi Mei didn't want to say more, and didn't have any interest in fighting. With a flash of her body, she stepped on the moonwalk and left. After a few seconds, Terumi Mei landed firmly on the deck of Marine's top warship. Good performance. Glancing at Terumi Mei, who was still unfinished, Luo Lei stretched and praised. This Whitebeard is really doting on his son. Terumi Mei heard the words, muttered, and said helplessly, his sons are actually powerful, but, under the protection of Whitebeard, they are like chicks, unable to exert themselves at all. Original strength. It's normal. Luo Lei looked at Whitebeard a few hundred meters away, and said, Whitebeard is a famous child protecting madman. For the sake of his son, he can take his own life. For the sake of his son, he doesn't even want the reputation of the Whitebeard pirates. He is indeed a child protector. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded solemnly and said regretfully, in a sense, Whitebeard is actually he killed his own son. After all, people can't be at their peak forever. HMPH. When the boss of Luo Lei defeats Whitebeard, his sons may wake up. Hoshigaki Kisame snorted coldly and said, I have been indulging in the protection of the strongest man in the world, it is time to break their fantasy, face reality. Whitebeard, don't you want to fight me? Swish. The next moment, with a burst of void, Luo Lei quickly left the deck and landed on a deserted island not far away. It is good. Whitebeard laughed loudly, held the naginata in one hand, and flew out without hesitation. There is nothing to say, he is going to test it out today. How strong is Luo Lei, the Marine Admiral who has never made a head-on shot, and whether he is more pervert than his subordinates. After a few seconds, Whitebeard landed on the deserted island holding the naginata in one hand, stood there looking at Luo Lei, and after grinning, the hand holding the naginata suddenly tightened. The momentum burst out. In an instant, a mighty conqueror's haki soars into the sky. In a way that looks out to all directions and is above CCFF, above everything, it moves towards the suppression of Luo Lei. No doubt, this is haki for Whitebeard alone. Why bother? Perceiving Whitebeard's mighty power like a king, the corners of Luo Lei's mouth twitched slightly, and he moved his top conqueror's haki. Boom! In an instant, there are almost no signs. With Luo Lei as the center, another terrifying aura swept out. Swipe. This is the sound of air bursting. If Whitebeard's conqueror's haki is just to rule the sea and look down on everything, then Luo Lei's conqueror's haki is to rule the world and make the world surrender. How is this possible? Stronger than Daddy Whitebeard's conqueror's haki? No, I feel stronger than the man with the strongest haki, the redhead Shank's haki. Luo Lei didn't make a move. He shocked this sea area as soon as he made a move, especially the captains headed by Marco, Bista, and Sachi. They even showed a ghostly look. All along, they all thought that the conqueror's haki of the red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, was unsurpassed, not even Father Whitebeard. It's good now. The truth hit them in the face. Marine's Admiral, Luo Lei, known as the god of ninja, has become the man with the strongest haki as soon as conqueror's haki broke out. And this is also true. After Luo Lei's conqueror's haki broke out, it bombarded Whitebeard's conqueror's haki with overwhelming momentum. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying collision shock wave spread out, causing the deserted island to tremble slightly. Especially in the central area of the collision, among the dark clouds, countless black lightning bolts appeared, as if the end of the world, making the scalp tingle. However, that's all. After holding on for less than 10 seconds, Whitebeard's conqueror's haki was defeated by Luo Lei's conqueror's haki. Between heaven and earth, all of a sudden it became a little cloudy. But, everyone knows, this is the 3rd time Whitebeard has been deflated, the 1st time illusion, the 2nd time Terumi Mei, and the 3rd time conqueror's haki is also crushed. Soon, after conqueror's haki, There is silence between heaven and earth. Because, as everyone knows, Whitebeard was crushed again, and his momentum was overwhelmed by Marine Admiral Luo Lei. You fool. As Marine, you have such a strong tyrant haki. I do not know how long it has been. Whitebeard gradually regained his senses, his expression became cloudy and uncertain. As one of the 4 emperors, known as the strongest man in the world, he has seen many people who have conqueror's haki, but conqueror's haki as powerful as Luo Lei, this is the first time he has met. At least, this conqueror's haki is already stronger than the redhead Shank's conqueror's haki. Isn't it normal? Luo Lei stood there calmly and said indifferently, your conqueror's haki is not weak, but it's a pity that you met me. Quote. Looking at Luo Lei, who seemed to be ready for himself, Whitebeard held the naginata knife with a cold expression, and snorted, don't be complacent, the battle has just begun. Swish. The voice did not fall. Whitebeard took the naginata and swung it violently, and he shot a heart-pounding white sword light, attacking Luo Lei. This is the sound of the air cracking like a mirror. And with the movement of the white blade glow, the crack spread like a spider's web Armed color katakana middle dot wood style katakana middle dot wood expulsion jutsu. Facing Whitebeard's sudden attack, the corners of Luo Lei's mouth twitched slightly, and he slapped his hands violently as chakra surged. Axis. With the sound of the ground cracking, a wooden shield shaped like a fangs and grimace emerged from the ground and blocked Luo Lei's face. Rumbling. After a few seconds, under the watchful eyes of all, the gleaming white sword light from Whitebeard slammed hard on the wooden shield of Fang Grimace. Accompanied by a deafening roar, a terrifying shock wave of energy erupted, sweeping out in all directions, causing the entire deserted island to vibrate violently for several times. However, the impact of the explosion is very strong. Makes the whole island seem to explode. But, the wooden shield of the Fangs and Grimace remained motionless in place. Especially Marine Admiral Luo Lei, who was standing behind the shield, was not affected by anything. One hit is unsuccessful. Whitebeard frowned, holding the naginata in both hands, and with a flash of his body, he appeared in front of the wooden shield with Fang Grimace. A gleaming white halo flickered on the blade, and he immediately slashed on the shield. He doesn't believe it anymore. A small wooden shield can't resist his attack mixed with a lot of shock fruit power. Clang. Another sound of metal collision sounded. The moment the naginata slashed at the wooden shield, a terrifying shock force erupted, spreading toward the entire wooden shield, as if it wanted to make the wooden shield come alive. AJ. Ideals are full. The reality is very skinny. In the face of Whitebeard's nearly air-shattering, earth-shattering attack, the wooden shield just didn't react at all, and it didn't have any tendency to be broken. It just stood there, acting as Luo Lei's shield. Interesting, the combination of armament haki and ninjutsu. A few seconds later, Whitebeard withdrew the naginata, narrowed his eyes slightly, and said incredulously, the defense is so strong, it can't even break through the power of shock. Definitely, Luo Lei said indifferently, this is wood style mixed with armament haki. Joke. In the Battle of the Valley of the End, Senju Hashirama used this technique to defend against the slash of Madara's powerful suit. Susanoo Ninetails was wearing Susanoo's armor. Now that it has been optimized by Luo Lei and integrated into the top armament haki, the defense will only be more amazing, so, with the support of Chatanla, it is not easy to resist Whitebeard's attack. Gu la 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 la. With a domineering look on Whitebeard's face, he said, I don't know what wood style is, but, you are trying to block me with this thing, are you really underestimating me? Really? Luo Lei laughed at once. Boom. The next moment, a terrifying Chatanla wave spread out. Immediately afterwards, under Whitebeard's suspicious gaze, Luo Lei's hands patted lightly, armed color katakana middle dot wood style katakana middle dot the tree world is born. Perceiving the majestic energy fluctuations in Luo Lei's body, Whitebeard's heart condensed, and he couldn't help but have an ominous premonition, as if something bad was about to happen. Wait a minute. The next moment, as if he had sensed something, Whitebeard couldn't help but let out a horrified voice. Because under the perception of his observation haki, the underground of this island seems to have countless tree roots spreading wildly upwards. Boom, boom. This is the sound of the ground cracking. I saw towering trees, like wild horses running away, frantically popping up from the ground, and in less than a few seconds, a deserted island was transformed into a deep mountain forest with virgin forests. How is this possible? How come there are so many lush towering trees? Papa Whitebeard is surrounded by countless towering trees. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Facing the sudden change, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates, such as Marco, Beasta, Sage, etc., could not help but have cold sweat on his forehead, and his eyes were filled with extreme shock. What kind of fairy ninjutsu is this? Create a forest covering a giant desert island with a slap of both hands. Are you kidding me? But this scene in front of me told Marco and others. No joke, someone actually created a forest. At the same time, in the seas kilometers away from the desert island, countless people watching the game have been collectively stunned, and obviously they have not recovered from the shock of wood style. Mid-air, a white bird is flapping its wings. It has a video camera worm on its head, which is continuously recording the situation of the battlefield, spreading the real-time picture of the battlefield to the entire sea, and conducting paid live broadcasts. So, almost when the Whitebeard pirates stopped the Marine's top warship that Luolei was on, the entire sea, countless forces, knew the news that the Whitebeard pirates and the Marine 4th Admiral had a complete war. And after seeing Luolei using wood style, for a time, Marshal Sengoku of Naval Headquarters, Marine 3 Admiral Kizaru, Akainu, Aokiji, 5 Elders of World Government, one of the 4 Emperors Kaido, red-haired Shanks, and many big pirates, giants of underground dark forces, eyes are all bright. Finally know the specific abilities of Marine's 4th Admiral Ninja Luolei. Before, everyone only knows that Luolei will move instantly. It's good now. It turned out to be a ninjutsu who knows how to plant trees. This is still afraid of a hammer. Even if it is combined with armament hockey, it can create a towering tree covering the desert island in an instant. If you fight, that's it. After all, can an egg touch a rock? The fact is also true. After being surrounded by countless towering trees, Whitebeard showed no fear, but his eyes were sharp. He held the Naginata sword and swung it violently, sending out a shock wave of bright white, making the air on the entire desert island all twisted and broken. Rumble, rumble, a deafening roar sounded. In the face of the power of shock fruit that can cause earthquakes and tsunamis, countless towering trees resisted for only 1 second and then were shocked alive. In less than 10 seconds, the lush towering trees on the desert island were destroyed and turned into wood chips. It's useless. After smashing the countless towering trees, Whitebeard held his naginata and roared up to the sky. Luolei, if you only have this bells and whistles, get out of New World as soon as possible and help the world government plant trees. Bar. Hee. After hearing this, Luolei shook his head disapprovingly and said, Whitebeard, is this just the beginning? Boom, boom. The voice did not fall. During the surging of Chatanla, the countless towering trees that had just been blown up began to grow at an extremely fast speed, bursting with even stronger vitality, rushing towards Whitebeard overwhelmingly. Again, see this scene. Whitebeard let out a low drink, waved the naginata in his hand again, and sent out a shock wave of bright white. Rumbling. The deafening roar sounded again. Those densely packed towering trees seemed to be vulnerable to a single blow and then exploded by a terrifying force of shock. The terrifying aftermath even made the sea water in this area begin to surge wildly, which was very terrifying. Only, strangely enough, the towering tree that was blasted was like a wildfire that could not burn out, and the spring breeze blew and grew again, bursting out the vitality and resilience that made the scalp numb. Almost at the moment of being bombarded, one after another, new towering trees came up late from the ground, flocking to Whitebeard incessantly. Just started. Whitebeard's expression is still very relaxed. But, as the towering trees rushed towards him tirelessly, Whitebeard's expression gradually became solemn. These towering trees are not easy. Boom, another roar. Whitebeard didn't know how many towering trees were blown up, and he muttered to himself with a serious look, how can this happen? It can't go on like this. That's right. His strength is very strong, and he is still at the end of his peak. But, can't stand such unlimited consumption. Once exhausted, the consequences may be very serious. In this case, thinking of this, Whitebeard glanced at the ground beneath his feet, a coldness flashed in his eyes. The wood came out of the ground. Then I will blow up the island, what do you do? Whitebeard, this just warms you up. At this time, it seemed that it was almost the same. A warlike smile appeared on Luolei's cheeks, and he patted his hands a few times. Armed color katakana middle dot wood style katakana middle dot wood dragon technique. Armed color katakana middle dot wood style katakana middle dot wooden golem jutsu. Almost in the blink of an eye. A towering tree evolved into a giant wooden dragon in vain, and another towering tree evolved into a giant wooden golem, which stormed towards Whitebeard from left to right, setting off a terrifying energy shock wave. If you look carefully, you will find that whether it is a giant wooden dragon or a giant wooden golem, not only chakra is surging on the body, but also wisps of armament haki visible to the naked eye. Gu la la la, the god of ninja Luolei, is this your trump card? Seeing this, Whitebeard, who had planned to destroy the island, made a contemptuous voice and said, no matter what trump card has any effect, under the power of shock fruit, it can only be detonated. You can only drag me down with crowd tactics. Clang. After saying this, Whitebeard put the naginata in his hand on the ground, his hands clenched into fists, the bright white halo gathered, a wave of terrifying concussion force was brewing frantically, and finally, only one left and one right, facing the wooden dragon and wooden respectively. Golem blasted away. Roar. Facing Whitebeard's attack, under Luolei's control, wooden dragon and wooden golem bombarded Whitebeard without fear. Rumbling. After a second, the wooden dragon and the wooden golem collided with the shock force respectively. The next moment, with the wooden dragon wooden golem as the center, cracks appeared in the air, and the island was torn apart in an instant, causing the turbulent sea water to pour in frantically. Shock. Absolutely stunning, facing Whitebeard's terrifying concussive force. Although the torso had a tendency to be cracked, but wooden golem and wooden dragon, with the blessing of chakra and armament haki, still caught it abruptly, ignoring the cracked island, the huge wooden golem and the wooden dragon. The dragon, still with an indomitable momentum, rushed towards Whitebeard. What? How can the defense be so strong? Whitebeard's expression froze, almost without hesitation, and he fought with wooden golem and wooden dragon in a flash. He doesn't believe it anymore. With the power of shock fruit. Can't blow up this wooden golem, wooden dragon. Bang, bang. Another dull crash sounded. Whitebeard bombarded wooden golem and wooden dragon with one punch after another, and a shock wave broke out, and wooden golem and wooden dragon did not show weakness and used Marine 6 styles to counterattack. That's right, did you read wrong? Both wooden golem and wooden dragon are using armament haki and Marine 6 styles. In addition, his own defense is strong, and he is not afraid of being injured. For a while, he fought back and forth with Whitebeard. The aftermath of the explosion caused the heaven and the earth to shake, and the sea area was shaking slightly. In this situation, on one side is the power of shock that shatters everything. On the other side are wooden golem and wooden dragon formed by wood style. Invisibly, the battle between Whitebeard and wooden golem, the wooden dragon, has fallen into a strange balance. When did wood become so awesome? Is the wood style of a ninja so scary? Can't even Daddy Whitebeard smash a wooden golem with one punch? It's incredible that wooden golem and wooden dragon, which are like puppets, can actually use armament haki and Marine 6 styles. This is completely unethical, isn't it? No, if it goes on like this, with Father Whitebeard's physical state, he will be dragged down alive. From a distance, looking at the stalemate on the island, the captains such as Marco, Sage, and Vista all looked a little stunned, and there was a bit of tension in their tone, and they lost their confidence at the beginning. Really wooden golem and wood style are really scary. What about planting afforestation as promised? How can it be so tough? At this time, more than just Marco and others, even the countless people watching the battle in this sea area, as well as the people watching the battle through live broadcast in the sea, looked a little dull, and there was only one doubt in their minds, that is, are wooden golem and wooden dragon really formed of wood? How can it be so scary? Originally after the ninjutsu of Marine Admiral Luolei planting trees was exposed. Many people are dismissive. Compared with ninja's water style, this so-called wood style is really not worth mentioning. Now it seems that it has been beaten in the face. Afforestation is a pretense. The real horror of wood style is only now showing. Didn't you see that even Whitebeard, who is known as the strongest man in the world, was caught in a hard fight? At the same time, ha ha ha, Whitebeard, are my wooden golem and wooden dragon all right? On the island, Luo stood on wooden golem's head in a flash, looked at Whitebeard who was in a hard fight, and said, "Your shock fruit power is indeed pervert, but, my wood style, but not so easy to blow up." "What did you say?" I saw Whitebeard kicked away the wooden dragon that wanted to entangle him, and said, "These things, I can explode at any time." Bang, bang. After saying this, Whitebeard punched the wooden dragon. The terrifying shock force broke out, and it directly blew the wooden dragon's head. But, at the moment of explosion, a brand new faucet appeared again, roaring towards Whitebeard with claws and claws. I see this scene. Whitebeard really wants to scold her. So embarrassed, even if it is against Kaido, the beast who is also one of the 4 emperors. He has never been so speechless as he is now. This wooden golem and wooden dragon, just like Xiaoqiang from Immune to Death, exploded and grew again, completely in an endless state. Alas, this isn't actually the final state of wood style. Luo didn't care so much, and sighed slowly. "Once you use wood style in full state, I can give you 2 hands." "Let me have 2 hands." Whitebeard frowned, seeming to be confused. "Don't people only have 2 hands? Let me have 2 hands, doesn't that imply that I can beat me without hands? It's too much to underestimate people, whether it is bearable or unbearable." However, what Whitebeard didn't know was that Sage Art wood style true several thousand hands once displayed. That's thousands of giant arms. Even if Whitebeard has 2 hands, there are still 998 hands. What's the point? Forget it, no time to waste. Ignoring Whitebeard's misunderstanding, Luo shook his head to himself, his mind moved, a smile flashed in his blue eyes, and he muttered to himself, "Tenseigan chakra mode." Immediately after, under the stunned eyes of countless people, an almost explosive blue chakra enveloped Luo's body. Boom! The next moment, the wooden golem and the wooden dragon who were fighting seemed to be blessed, and in vain, a more powerful wave of power erupted, and directly launched a more turbulent offensive against Whitebeard. Not only that, there were countless towering trees that had been silent, began to surge again. How is this possible? Whitebeard was a little confused. He glanced at Luo who entered the Tenseigan chakra mode, and there were countless question marks on his head. What happened? Why did the breath skyrocket several times in an instant? If I remember correctly, the eyes of Luo in the past seemed to be white, right? Why are they now blue? More importantly, it was these blue eyes that gave him a strong sense of crisis. Incredible. There is really something incredible. Certainly, at such a moment, facing the changes of Marine Admiral Luo, whether it was the captains of the Whitebeard pirates, or the countless people watching the battle in this sea area, they all showed their jaw-dropping gazes. No way. It is true that Luo has changed a lot. With azure blue eyes, the whole body is shrouded in blue chakra, suspended in midair, like a god. Boom! With Luo entering Tenseigan chakra mode, a terrifying aura swept out at a lightning-fast speed, forcibly suppressing Whitebeard's fighting aura. Influenced by countless towering trees, and wooden golems and wooden dragons. Under the suppression of Tenseigan chakra, even if Whitebeard continued to burst out the power of shock, he began to fight against Whitebeard. For a time, the situation has changed dramatically. Dad seems to be suppressed. Marine Admiral Luo's eyes are really terrifying, and such a terrifying aura burst out. Seeing this scene, Marco, Vista and the others looked horrified, but they couldn't help showing tension and worry. If the battle on the island was not too fierce, they would all want to support Father Whitebeard. What happened? Why did Luo's eyes turn blue? In this terrifying state, I feel that Whitebeard's momentum has been completely suppressed. At Naval Headquarters, when Marshal Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu and other senior Marines saw Luo who was like a god, they all looked at each other and could see the horror in their eyes. Originally thought that teleportation wood style is Luo's trump card. It's good now. It turns out that those are all trivialities. Those azure blue eyes are the ultimate trump card. They have just exploded, and the explosive momentum alone has already suppressed everything. Even Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors. It seems to be a little off. Certainly, what made Marine executives fail to understand is that. Why did Luo's white eyes turn into azure blue eyes? Is it evolution? At this time, not only the high-level officers of naval headquarters, but even the Redhead Shanks, Beasts Kaido, Bigmom Charlotte Linlin, Doflamingo and other big pirates showed extremely surprised expressions. Actually, with the lessons of Yaoi, Sarutobi Hiruzen and others, everyone thought that Luo Lei. He is also a top devil fruit ninja of the Eudemons species. Alright now, countless people have guessed wrong. Marine Admiral, Luo Lei is not only a devil fruit ninja of an Eudemons species, but a ninja who does damage with his eyes. Is it just that the eyes are so powerful? So incredible. As soon as it broke out with the momentum to suppress Whitebeard. If it explodes with full force, wouldn't even Whitebeard be suppressed? At the same time, facing the countless towering trees suddenly blessed by Tensegan chakra, wooden golem, wooden dragon. Whitebeard's fists were constantly swung, sending out a shocking force that seemed to destroy the sky and the earth, causing the air to burst continuously. The island was almost overturned, and the sea was even more turbulent. However, no use for eggs, chakra by wood style and Tensegan, plus the blessing of armament hockey. The strength of countless towering trees, wooden dragons, and wooden golem has been blessed again, and the attack power has been further improved. Even as the strongest man in the sea, Whitebeard can't hold it anymore. Whitebeard shot out a bright white halo, shook wooden golem and wooden dragon back a few steps, glanced at Luo Lei in the air, and said, "What's going on with your eyes?" Shock. It's really unbelievable. At this time he finally felt a difference. As one of the 4 emperors, Whitebeard, he is also rebellious and has been the master of the sea for decades, but in the face of Luo Lei's sudden outbreak of Tensegan, he still has more than enough strength. But, as the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard has been across the sea for decades. It is impossible to admit defeat and retreat, and will only fight to the end. Nothing. Luo Lei smiled lightly and said, "It's just Tensegan." Tensegan. Whitebeard frowned, and was about to ask something, but was interrupted by countless towering trees, and once again fell into passive. Never mind. The next moment, Luo Lei waved his hand lightly and said in a low voice, "Let me show you what Tensegan is." Influenced by, originally, the towering tree, wooden golem, that was attacking Whitebeard frantically, the wooden dragons stopped in unison. Seeing Whitebeard, when I was about to say something, I saw a scene that I will never forget in my life. I saw Luo Lei's Tensegan burst out with a tingling pupil power fluctuation. Immediately after, the blue truth-seeking balls appeared behind Luo Lei, and began to spin wildly and violently. How is this possible? What power is this? It's really a joke. Looking at this tornado that seemed to destroy the world, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates led by Marco, Sachi and others all showed a ghostly look. Obviously they were shocked by the reincarnation of the silver wheel. What a powerful force! Whitebeard's eyes narrowed, and before he had time to hesitate, he grabbed the naginata stabbing on the ground in a flash, and the power of shock fruit mobilized with all his strength. Click. Swipe. Dozens of meters of fluorescent white sword light stormed out. In an instant, horror to ultimate's concussive force. It directly caused cracks like spider webs to appear in the air in this area, and then it rushed towards the silver wheel reincarnation explosion that seemed to destroy the world. After a few seconds, under the watchful eyes of countless people, the tens of meters of fluorescent white blade light collided with the silver wheel reincarnation explosion, and a shock wave of collision energy that seemed to be able to shake the sky and earth broke out. Rumbling. Almost in an instant, the islands that were originally torn apart were all shattered and turned into dust in the sky. The sea water in this sea area set off huge waves dozens of meters high, surging frantically. And in the center region of the collision, there were even wisps of black cracks. No doubt, this is a space rift. For a time, even the captains of the Whitebeard pirates, as well as many spectators, had already evacuated a long way, and they were still affected. All the weaker ones looked horrified, and their bodies trembled, paralyzed on the deck. No way. Is really scary, whether it is Whitebeard, or Marine Admiral Luo Lei. It seems that both masters have the power to destroy the world. When the two fight against each other, the sky and the earth will be shattered, the sun and the moon will not shine, it seems that even the heaven and the earth will be blown up, and the space will be twisted and exploded. However, what amazes the eye is that, in the center of the collision, Whitebeard's concussive force exploded wildly. But, The tornado formed by the rotation of the truth-seeking ball is still standing still, and there is no sign of being broken up at all, but it is more and more violent. Boom. As predicted, after holding on to the shock force for less than 10 seconds. When the silver wheel exploded, it was forced into the tornado and rolled towards Whitebeard in an even more explosive manner. For a time, the whole world seems to be only a silver wheel reincarnation in Whitebeard. In the face of the kilometer-long tornado, Whitebeard's tall body stood on the only remaining ground, like an ant, ready to be overturned by the tornado at any time. Looking at the tornado that seemed to swallow the sky and destroy the earth, it broke through the force of shock and attacked Whitebeard. The captains headed by Marco and Sachi were shocked, and some people responded, and some shouted hoarsely. What power is this? The corner of the deck. Blackbeard, who had climbed up from the deck at some point, was also shocked by this scene. A look of horror and fear appeared on his cheeks, and a huge wave was set off in his heart. All along, he thought demon fruit power was very powerful. Especially the top demon fruit power. It is trivial to destroy the world with every gesture. Now, facing Marine Admiral Luolei who owns Tensagan, Blackbeard doubts his own obsession for the first time. Can Logia Katakana middle dot dark fruit really threaten Marine Admiral Luolei's eyes? I'm afraid you can't. Didn't you see that even shock fruit was crushed? Those azure blue eyes, as if compared to some bullshit devil fruit, more awesome and more despairing. At the same time, boom, boom, all over the sea. Everyone who was watching the game through the live broadcast stood up from their chairs in no particular order, with shocked expressions on their cheeks. Obviously they were also shocked by the live broadcast. What are you kidding? Marine Admiral Luolei, the tornado displayed by the blue eyes, actually crushed the power of shock fruit. Is it so exaggerated? After all, is this the shock fruit known as the strongest paramesha? They are all so vulnerable. When they think of this, people such as Sengoku, Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu of Naval Headquarters, the red-haired shanks of one of the four emperors, Bigmom Charlotte Linlin, etc., all have some scalp tingling, and their hearts tingle. Panicked. It's the real strength that Luolei showed, even they were a little scared. Unbelievable. But, the facts are in front of you, you have to believe it if you don't believe it. Therefore, under the watchful eyes of all, the tornado rolled up by the reincarnation of the silver wheel bombarded the place where Whitebeard was standing with the momentum of destruction, and devoured Whitebeard directly. Boom. Next moment, hardly any signs. The tornado instantly erupted with an extremely terrifying energy shock wave. Invisibly, this sea area trembled violently. Looking around, only that tornado was left between the sky and the earth, raging wildly. 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Time passed by minute. Gradually, the rotation speed of the tornado began to weaken, and the blue truth-seeking balls began to disappear. Finally, at the moment when the tornado is about to disappear, Whitebeard's body fell from a height of several hundred meters and slammed into the deserted island that had turned into the ocean of Wangyang. Get me up. See this scene. The corner of Luolei's mouth was slightly raised, and when he held it with his right hand, a blue truth-seeking ball scepter appeared in his hand. Immediately after, a towering tree emerged from the bottom of the sea. The next moment, accompanied by the sound of sucking cold air one after another. Under countless eyes, Whitebeard finally appeared in front of everyone. Looking around, Whitebeard is hanging on the towering tree, and all his clothes have been scraped. On the mountain-like body, there were bloodstains visible to the naked eye, and more importantly, only the bare handle of the Naginata sword in Whitebeard's hand was left. And on the other side, Luolei is holding a blue truth-seeking ball scepter, suspended in midair, a piece of cloud and light wind. Quiet. The whole sea is dead silent. Look around. On one side is Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world hanging on a towering tree. On the other side is Marine Admiral Luolei, who seems to be above everything. Anyone with discernment knows that the outcome is already decided. Whitebeard, who has the title of the strongest man in the world, is completely defeated. In this situation, the eyes of countless people in this sea area are sluggish, and their hearts are almost plunged into a blank space. Even the Naval Headquarters Marshal Sengoku, Marine 3 Admiral Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu, Marine Hero Garp, one of the four emperors' red-haired shanks, Kaido of the Beasts and others who were watching the live broadcast showed an almost unbelievable look. To know After entering the age of the great pirates, Whitebeard's prestige has already shocked the entire sea. Even if it is not at its peak, his strength is quite terrifying. The results of it, known as the strongest Whitebeard in the world. However, he was defeated by Marine Admiral Luolei in a destructive way. Many people did not expect that the halo of the so-called strongest man in the world would be broken. More importantly, Luolei did not use Conqueror's Haki, Marine 6 styles, but simply used his blue eyes to launch an attack that seemed to destroy the sky and destroy the earth. Whitebeard couldn't hold back. How terrifying is this? 2 seconds. 3 seconds. With the passage of time. Finally, after a few minutes, Luolei slowly exited the Tensagen chakra mode. It is this change. It made many spectators wake up like a dream. How is this possible? Daddy Whitebeard lost. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could Father Whitebeard lose? No, everything is an illusion for sure. The captains headed by Marco, Sachi, and Bista were all soaked in sweat, showing expressions of horror and disbelief, and exclaimed one after another in no particular order. On the deck, it seemed that he had lost his spiritual belief. No way. For a long time, in the eyes of the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates, his own father, Whitebeard, is the strongest man in the world, and only a few of his contemporaries, such as Garp, Sengoku, Golden Lion Shiki, and One Piece Roger, can compete with Father Whitebeard. The results of it, Father Whitebeard, who was still at the end of his peak, lost, and it was a fiasco that was almost slapped in the face. Just thought of. From now on, the Whitebeard pirates will rise from the sky and fall to the clouds. This made the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates, who had been under the protection of Whitebeard, simply could not accept it, nor did they want to accept it. Failed. Starting today, the famous Whitebeard has fallen from the altar. The old god will be down, the new god will be enthroned, and Marine Admiral Luolei will become the strongest man in the new world. As for the countless people watching the battle in this sea area, after regaining his senses, he looked at Marine Admiral Luolei, full of horror and heart palpitations. Have nothing to say. Where do the big pirates of the New World and the giants of the underground dark world go? That man, like a god, may end the era of the great pirates and start a new era of the great marines. Did the world government and naval headquarters find treasures? The newly promoted Marine Admiral Luolei stepped on the Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors, to reach the top of the world's strongest. Just thinking about it makes your scalp tingling. At the same time, cough. Whitebeard, who was hanging above the towering tree, coughed violently and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then, ignoring the dense wounds on his body, he stretched out his right arm and grabbed the trunk of the tree. With a flash, he stood on the trunk, above. Physical fitness is too strong. See this scene. Luolei didn't show any surprise, but exclaimed, as expected of Whitebeard, he was able to stand up after being reincarnated by the silver wheel. Goo la la la. Cough. After hearing this, the bloody Whitebeard was about to let out his own unique laugh, but he kept coughing up blood. In the end, he could only laugh while vomiting blood. Lost. I lost so completely. Although he is smiling, Whitebeard's heart is full of bitterness and helplessness. Across the sea for decades, he has never been so helpless as he is today. Especially in the face of Luolei's so-called Tensagen, he was almost beaten to death. The Tensagen, it's just terrifying, certainly. To lose is to lose. Whitebeard himself can afford to lose, and he dares to admit it. No one can stay on top forever. He himself has no nostalgia for the so-called strongest title. After all, even the strongest person in the world, a human with only one heart, will face death one day. I lost. After a while, Whitebeard took a deep breath, without wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said very freely, I'm convinced that I lose, I have nothing to say, you are the strongest in the new world. Luolei glanced at Whitebeard, frowned, and said solemnly, you actually still have the strength to fight? No, not anymore. A gleam of doting flashed in Whitebeard's eyes. He shook his head and said, I have always wanted to be a pirate king, but now I can finally unload my burden and accompany my sons. I understand. Luolei nodded and said nothing more. Everyone has their own pursuits. The Whitebeard in front of him obviously puts his son first and doesn't want to continue fighting. He also wants to retain a little bit of strength, lest the Whitebeard pirates be seized and wiped out. This is not alarmist. The Whitebeard pirates have been in the sea for so many years, there must be a lot of people and forces to offend. Especially Whitebeard, who can become one of the 4 emperors who rule the sea, basically climbed up on countless corpses. In the past, because of Whitebeard's power and strength, I didn't dare to have any superfluous ideas, but now Whitebeard's myth has been shattered. Once the flaws are revealed, the consequences will be disastrous. After all, there are many more people who fall into trouble than those who give help in the snow. If the fatty meat of the Whitebeard pirates is bitten, it will definitely be full. Okay, can I go now? At this time, looking at Luolei, who was in deep thought, Whitebeard stretched out his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "You are already the strongest in the New World, I hope you can stand at the top of the sea." 103. Ha ha. Facing Whitebeard, who no longer wanted to fight for the sake of his son, Luolei showed a proud look on his face, shook his head, and said disdainfully, "The Whitebeard pirates are really nothing more than that." Swish. The voice did not fall. Along with a spatial fluctuation, Luolei's body flashed, and he appeared on the Marine's top warship in the distant sea. Quote. After hearing this, an anger flashed in Whitebeard's eyes. As the strongest man in the world, how has he ever been so insulted and despised? But, when thinking of his own sons, the color of anger changed to the color of doting, and he breathed a sigh of relief in the depths of his heart. What does it mean to be insulted and despised? All he cares about is his own son. No matter what Luolei says, he will not care, nor will he take it to heart, as long as his sons are safe. Quote. Thinking of this, Whitebeard couldn't help coughing a few more times, and strands of blood spilled from the corners of his mouth again. The injury is still a little serious. After this war, his body may not be able to return to its peak at all. Daddy Whitebeard, see this scene. Without any hesitation, Marco entered the form of a phoenix, flew out, hugged Father Whitebeard at the fastest speed, and returned to the deck. Dad, Papa Whitebeard, are you all right? It's all our fault, we're too weak to help Dad. Looking at the captains such as Whitebeard, Sachi, Bins, and Beasta, who were slumped on the deck, their eyes were a little wet, and there was a look of guilt and worry on their cheeks. Once upon a time, who would dare to say Whitebeard in front of Father Whitebeard, the pirates are just like this? Now someone has done it. After saying that, Father Whitebeard didn't react, as if he had been slapped in the face by default. Whitebeard stood up tremblingly, looking at the Marine top-level warship that had already left. A complex color flashed in his eyes. After all, he is still old. He just doesn't know how far Marine Admiral Luolei can go. As for why he let him go, Whitebeard also has some guesses. That is, Luolei and Naval Headquarters, world governments, the relationship is not as good as expected. On the surface, Naval Headquarters and world government have picked up the treasure. Actually, after becoming the strongest man in the world, not only the pirates, the giants of the underground dark forces, even the Naval Headquarters and the world government will feel the pressure. But, all this has nothing to do with Whitebeard. Like the beast Kaido, he became a stepping stone for Marine Admiral Luolei. Woo! Seeing that Daddy Whitebeard can still stand, Marco and the others involuntarily let out a sigh of relief, and immediately called the ship doctor to come over. Dad. After a few seconds, when the ship doctor was giving Whitebeard infusion therapy, Marco, Sachi and others lowered their heads, opened their mouths, and wanted to say something, but said nothing. Good boys, I know what you want to say. Whitebeard glanced at Marco and the others, let out his own unique laugh, and said somewhat freely, Dad never takes the title of the world's strongest in his eyes. As long as I'm still here, Whitebeard, see, the thieves will not collapse, so you can relax. Got it, Dad. Upon hearing this, the captains headed by Marco showed their resolute expressions. What do I do? At the corner of the deck, Blackbeard felt that he was a little confused. As if Father Whitebeard was crushed with Tensagen, he continued to look for dark fruit. What was the need? Will the future be dominated by ninjas? No, I have endured it for so many years, I can't give up halfway. Next moment, a resolute look flashed in Blackbeard's eyes. As long as he gets dark fruit, he will have a chance to rise, even if there is only a trace, he must seize it. At the same time, The countless people watching the battle in this sea area have all fallen into silence. No one speaks, but they can see shock and disbelief in the eyes of these people. I thought it was a battle of the century, but it became the performance of Marine Admiral Luolei, and the pair of Tensagen made the scalps of countless people numb. The sea is about to shake. Therefore, in this situation, the same thought popped into many people's minds. Of course, there were very few people who saw that Whitebeard was only injured, not missing arms or legs, and still couldn't help shaking their heads. It seemed that there was no chance. See Circle Calendar, June 4, 1514. Marine Admiral Luolei visited the Whitebeard pirates with his subordinates and defeated Whitebeard, who has the title of the strongest man in the world. The news is out. In the whole sea, countless people are shocked. They all sighed that world government and naval headquarters are treasures. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.